Day return. Live from the Car Shield studio, this is the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Happy Monday to Brooke Grimsley. How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. I had my parents in town for my bridal shower, so it was great to see Steve and Irma. They're back home now and safe, and so it was just great to see them over the weekend. It was fun.
Good. It probably caused you to be able to take a break from all the college basketball, the bridal shower.
A little bit. As you guys know, my dad is a giant sports fan, so we would always find ourselves talking about sports. We would be talking, and then all of a sudden it turns into, well, did you see the Titans sign L'Jarius Sneed? What do you think about, it just goes all different directions. We talked about Shohei Ohtani. So yes, it was very bridal shower centered, but also I enjoy the moments where I can talk to my dad about sports.
And are you happy about L'Jarius Sneed?
Oh, I'm super happy about L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, Randy, I was talking about the Chiefs defense all year long, and who did I talk about the most? Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed.
Right.
So that was a great job by the Titans of getting him.
Getting a third and a seventh, and L'Jarius Sneed was a fourth. They're really good at drafting in Kansas City.
Yeah.
So they'll get another cornerback, and Spags will turn him into an all-pro, and then they'll trade the next guy. They'll trade Trent McDuffie or something next year.
Well, hopefully L'Jarius Sneed can keep some of that magic over from Spags to the Tennessee Titans, because they need
good
it.
off season for the Titans.
It really has been. They've been spending like crazy, making a lot of bold moves. I know I was talking to BK about it a few weeks ago, and he was like, who do the Titans think that they are? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm good with it at this point. I like when your team, if it's a team that you root for in general, Randy, don't you want them to make aggressive moves during the offseason?
Yep. Especially with the new coach, yeah. And they can use a passing game there. That's something that Tennessee has kind of been averse to over the years.
Yep.
So a passing game would be great. Good weekend here in St. Louis, a draw between St. Louis City SC and DC United. It was a deuce-deuce draw?
A deuce-deuce draw.
On the pitch, in their kits, over at City Park.
A little drama over there, huh?
Big time. Come on, DC, let's play. Let's try to win. Let's not mess things up.
What was that about?
Deuce is a very good description for the game.
Yeah. For City, the first expansion team to go unbeaten in their first 5 games in back-to-back seasons ever. First expansion team to ever do it. 5th overall in MLS history. And there's got to be a delay. I know. I get it. Soccer's been around for a million years, and we can't change the sport. Why? Why can't we make it so that a team can't delay the game?
I don't know. And there were so many frustrating points of that match as well, because one, DC United was playing very, very hurt. They had, 6 players, I think, out from their usual lineup that they had. And so you saw a very wounded team. But then again, on the other side, you would hope that City SC would be able to take full advantage of that, which they were able to do at times. You aren't having Leuven there. As we know, they didn't have Tim Parker, but still some other guys step up. I do want to say that it was a great game for Yarrow, and you had Klaus with the goal.
Yeah, that's good to see. That was necessary. We need to get him rolling. Roman Berkey, by the way, the St. Louis City SC goaler on DC, basically wasting time during the game.
I think the frustration was more from our side was because I've never seen a team wasting time so much and just the referee not doing anything. I thought the goalkeeper lost a leg, but then all of a sudden he was still able to kick the ball almost to my box. So I told him once, the ref, this is not obvious, and he asked me, what can I do? And I thought, you have 2 cards in your pocket, man. I mean, use them if you have to. I mean, control the game. Don't let the game control you or the other team control you and or control the game. So, it's unfortunate, but I'm pretty sure we are, pretty sure that DC is not the only team doing that. I think we would try to when we are winning, not when we are at draw. So the frustration was a little bit about that.
Yeah, Roman hit the nail on the head, didn't he? He was perfect there.
He was. was. Lost the leg. It really seemed like it. And Jared Stroud, did you forget that you played for City SC? Not that he needs to owe us any favors or anything, but good God, he was having some issues out there, wasn't he?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so frustration.
I didn't know what happened to him at certain points in the match.
They all want to play for St. Louis City SC, and they get mad when they leave.
Oh, yeah. Get cramps, all those different things that happen.
Yeah.
It's really tough and
He's
frustrating.
Not used to St. Louis anymore.
No. I love how Roman Berkey just does not hold things back whatsoever.
No. He's like a fan.
He is.
It was great.
Well, he's probably just like in Bundesliga. Well, I'm sure they have that happen there, but still in Bundesliga at the same time, he saw everything with that, and he sees whatever DC United was doing and was like, what in the world is this?
And like he said to the referee, hey, you got 2 cards in your pocket. Come on, let's use them. Pretty good. The Blues play tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a 6 o'clock pregame here on 101 ESPN, 7 o'clock with the faceoff. And with a victory, the Blues can get within 2 of Vegas. Now, here's the thing. A few weeks ago, a little over a month ago, the Nashville Predators came to town. And they had the Blues had the opportunity to go up 6. Instead, they lost the game, and they were only up 2 against the Preds, and the Preds have gone on an amazing streak since then. If the Blues win this game, they're within 2. But if they lose this game, they're 6 behind, and they're pretty much done. And by the way, this is on the heels of the Blues getting a Jordan Kyrou hat trick in Minnesota on Saturday, and then Brandon Saad scoring the overtime winner.
Kapanen up the middle to Saad. Poked away. Falk trying to chase after it. He's got Boldy on him. He's going to play it back to Bennington, and Bennington's going to cover the puck up and then flip it over to Falk.
It was a cover, then he played it. Heck of a play there to deny Boldy.
Kapanen and Saad. Saad to the goal. Score! Bring out the Zamboni. Brandon Saad, the hero in overtime. 5-4 win for the Blues.
What a great rush by Sauter, and he comes away with the game winner for St. Louis. He's been playing well of late after being not great during most of this season, but that was a big goal and a big win for our St. Louis Blues.
This really has been a very productive March for him. I have this pulled up right now. He's generated 5 goals and 10 points in 12 games for the Blues. So you have him showing up, and then, of course, we have to talk about Jordan Kyrou and the confidence that he's playing with right now. This is what we've wanted to see from him. I thought it was great what Joey V said, what was that, last Friday, where he talked about he noticed that there's maybe a confidence issue going on with Jordan Kyrou. You're seeing the confident Jordan Kyrou currently, and the way that he's playing right now, a hat trick, his 4th career hat trick. He looks like he's on a roll. I wonder if it's the combination of his confidence, but also some of the little bit of line changes that Drew Bannister has done.
I would think so. The thing is, maybe Robert Thomas isn't the best center for Jordan Kyrou. I don't know. But Kyrou certainly in the last week or so, going back to the Minnesota game in Minnesota, and then or the Minnesota game here, and then the one there on Saturday. Man, he's been great. And he is driving play. He's not being a passive. He's not being a passenger, eh? That happens a lot in hockey. He's driving play, and that's important. And as the Blues play Vegas tonight, Tomas Hertl will not play. He's just started skating over the weekend, so they won't get him back until the end of the regular season probably. And Petro still has not come back. So they're going to be a diminished Vegas Golden Knights squad too.
Well, and here's another benefit too, is that this is going to be a very daunting road trip for the Golden Knights. So they're going to start with the Blues. Obviously, this is going to be a playoff-like game for the Blues. It actually determines the playoffs, as you mentioned, Randy, for the Blues. And then after that, they're going to face the Nashville Predators, who have been doing really well. And then you have the Jets, and then you have the Wild. So this could actually be somewhat of an advantage for the Blues, considering the schedule that the Golden Knights have to face here soon.
Right, and the Blues have Calgary, and the Calgary Flames have struggled of late. Blues have Calgary in town on Thursday night, Monday, 25th, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday night, Calgary comes to town. The Cardinals have wrapped up their Grapefruit League season. They lost to the Astros yesterday, 9-4. Lance Lynn, 4 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, all earned. Cardinal offense was shut down, and they went 11-12 in Florida. They play the Cubs today and tomorrow in Mesa before starting the regular season in L.A. on Thursday.
11, 12, and 5. Don't forget those very important draws.
The draws, those are important.
The draws, Randy. It doesn't feel, what in the soccer is happening here? That should be illegal with baseball. But at the same time, Lance Lynn didn't look exactly great. You mentioned that, right? 4 1/3.
Yeah, kind of struggled.
Allowed 6 runs there.
Yeah.
That's a little concerning going into things. I don't know what to think because of what happened with spring training last year with the Cardinals, where you were the Grapefruit League champs, and we had that little graphic going into the season. I'll always remember that graphic. It still floats around on social media now. You know what I'm talking about with the little crown on there?
Yeah.
But maybe it's a better thing that they're not going in as champions this year, considering that it didn't work out for them last year.
Yeah, I don't trust, especially with a veteran guy like Lynn or Gibson. I just don't trust what I see in March because we actually care more than they do about results in March. They don't care. They know what they're doing, and sometimes, many times, the player will actually be getting something out of their performance where we say, "Oh man, what a piece of crap." So I think we just have to kind of pump the brakes a little bit. Now, granted, both Lynn and Gibson were not great during the regular season last year, but I think we need to pump the brakes on making a judgment. Somebody on social media over the weekend tried to say, I would never offer Paul Goldschmidt an extension based on what he's done in spring training. Well, he's 41 at bats in spring training. You know, it's Albert Pujols had a 8 for 41 during an MVP season. So you can't judge anybody's 41 at bat or 13 inning performance, especially during spring training. But I don't even do that during the regular season. 2 starts, that's not enough of a sample size for me to determine whether or not a player is good or not.
When is appropriate to start freaking out possibly about a player?
I would say if you get a couple of months in and a player who's done it before isn't doing it, then that's probably something to look at and be concerned about.
Oh, Randy, that's too reasonable.
Oh.
We want to freak out now.
Here's the thing. I saw John Tudor start 1-7 in 1985, and he goes 21-8. I saw Chris Carpenter go 1-7 in 2011, and he winds up winning 16 games, and the Cardinals wind up winning the World Series. I've seen bad starts too many times. I think this is part of being old. It's a good thing. But I've seen too many bad starts to believe that is what defines a player.
Oh, we're already getting the text rolling in, Randy. I know that we're going to talk about this here soon coming up, but from the 618, call it like it is. Cardinals have a bottom 10 rotation.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that, but, well, I don't know. I haven't looked at it. I would say they're probably middle 10. I would say they're between 11 and 20. They're not top 10. But there's some pretty bad rotations. I think you have to look around baseball and see that there's some pretty bad rotations. So I would say they're middle 10 right now, not having looked at it closely. But, yeah, they're going to have to give innings, and the Cardinals are going to have to be in games and then count on the bullpen and the offense, which, by the way, did not have a great spring. They're going to have to count on a lot of things going right for them if they're going to be a 93-94 win team, which I don't think they are. I think they're a 500 team.
Well, it also depends on the defense. That's another big part of this layer as well.
Yeah. And hopefully that'll get better.
It needs to. Please, Randy, don't let it get worse.
Okay. March Madness over the weekend, not too mad. Saturday and Sunday combined for just 2 upsets. Number 5, Gonzaga over number 4, Kansas, and number 6, Clemson over number 3, Baylor. All of the real Cinderellas got hammered. Number 11, NC State over Oakland. That was the only double-digit seed to make the Sweet 16. So March Madness was not really mad.
No, it really wasn't. There wasn't in many big surprises. I know that there was some shock losses, and they were talking about this. Michelle was on Unsportsmanlike this morning, but I agree with Michelle. I would rather have a Cinderella team. Just at least one make it through.
Yeah.
I like a fun storyline.
Yeah, and I actually, on the afternoon show on the Fast Lane on Friday, I picked GCU, Grand Canyon University, to cover in their opening game against St. Mary's. They wind up winning that game, and they had a chance last night to knock off Alabama, but Alabama pulled away late. But there were some teams that had a chance, but even with the fact that you don't have the favorites winning, you still have a lot of teams in there, a lot of teams in the bracket that are alive that aren't necessarily brand names. So at least you got that going for you, which is nice, I guess.
There is that. And also, if you want a positive, because I was kind of hoping that maybe Oakland could continue their little run, but as you mentioned, Randy, it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. But Jack Golke he was able to get a NIL deal with Buffalo Wild Wings. So
That's
there
good.
is a benefit there.
Have him rather than the giant buffalo. Why do you make an advertisement where your customers and servers are getting hurt in your restaurant?
I love that ad so much.
Is that
Do you really?
How does that make
I
anybody,
laugh every time.
How does that make anybody want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings? With all due respect,
Because then you get scared going in there.
right? Yeah, you don't want to get beat up by a buffalo.
No, of course not. But I love that story from him going from a Uber Eats driver doing DoorDash to now getting an NIL deal with
Yeah, it's pretty good.
something that a lot of people use
Yep.
DoorDash for.
We are off and running here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Randy, Matthew, coming up. 3 things we love from the weekend here on 101 ESPN. It's time for 3 things we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN.
Number 3.
All right, Brooke, what do you got for number 3?
For number 3, it's going to be all the St. Louis natives who are moving on in the NCAA tournament. We have CBC's Caleb Love with Arizona. Of course, we've talked about him a lot. Vashon's Keyshawn Gilbert with Iowa State moving on. Trinity's Ryan Kalkbrenner, with Creighton. And you also have Asia Blackwell, who's moving on with Baylor in the women's side of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, pretty cool to see St. Louis. One time, Travis Ford on the show said that St. Louis was one of the top 5 basketball producing cities in the country. And when you look around the NBA and when you look around college basketball, there's no reason to dispute that. It'd be nice to get more of them to come to SLU and Mizzou.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic. That's a really good idea, Randy.
Yeah, but there's a few that I know that we had Ryan Kalkbrenner on the show last year during the tournament or right before the tournament, and he said he was offered by St. Louis U, but it was really late, and he had basically already made his decision.
Gonzo Martin said about Ryan Kalkbrenner, I don't think he has the size to compete in the SEC. That was what Gonzo Martin said, and why Mizzou. That's why Mizzou wasn't in on Ryan Kalkbrenner.
That's not good. He's a pretty big guy, too, isn't he?
I think he was talking more about his frame and how much weight he can put on.
People get bigger.
He does get big. I mean, listen, I think the premise of Gonzo Martin was that he doesn't have a huge frame. He wasn't wrong there. It was that you can't play in the SEC without a big frame, where he was definitely wrong about that part. Because Kalkbrenner does, if he, a thicker guy like Dante on Oregon can beat him up inside a little bit, but that doesn't mean but by the end of the game, he had 14, 13, 5, and 3, I think, including a clutch 3-pointer. So it's like, you don't need a big frame to win inside the paint anymore.
No,
it was a dumb comment.
So Kalkbrenner moving on with Creighton, which is Rachel a big fan of Creighton?
Tad bit.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Saturday was definitely not a stressful night. that was fun, everybody. That was fun.
So now
Thanks,
you guys know
Oregon.
who to cheer for. Asia Blackwell, I got to see her here in high school. That is one thing that I do miss. I don't really talk about this often, but one thing I do miss about the TV side of things with sports is I loved going out and covering a lot of the local high school athletes here, especially on the basketball side, because there would be all these people would say, okay, you got to go check out this person, just to go around and see all the talent here in St. Louis and see them move on. I had the pleasure of covering Caleb Love while he was at CBC, and he is an absolute beast. Just watching, did you ever get to see him play when he was at CBC?
Yeah.
I mean, he was electric, but then you'd go interview him. He had this like different persona on the court. You would interview him afterwards, and he was just very quiet and very reserved. I'm like, what? These are 2 different people. What's going on here? And we also got a text in Katie Martin from Iowa, who's playing for Iowa from Edwardsville.
There we go. Nice. That's great. Brooke, my number 3, yesterday I had the opportunity to head on over to Cobalt Smoke and Sea Restaurant here in Creve Coeur. There's a great local nonprofit called Code 3 Response, and they help out first responders that are injured in the line of duty or have hit upon some tough times in their lives, and we try to raise as much for those people as we can with Code 3 Response. And yesterday, just a fantastic fundraiser, a great silent auction. Reed Lowe was there for the oral auction over at Cobalt, and we raised a bunch of money for Code 3 Response. So it was cool to be over there yesterday and help out the police and firefighters of the area. It was great.
That's awesome.
Number 2.
My number 2 is going to be Jordan Kyrou with the hat trick that we saw over the weekend. This is the version of Jordan Kyrou that we, of course, love to see, his 4th career hat trick. And you can just tell that he's playing with so much more confidence right now. And now he has been pretty much feast or famine for the last month if we bring up some of his stats. He has had 5 multi-point efforts in his last 16 games, but he also has had 10 games with no points at all. So we know he can be a streaky scorer. But right now, this version of Jordan Kyrou is what the Blues need.
He's talented. There's no doubt about that. It's not what he can do, because he can do it all. It's what he's willing to do. That's the issue that I think most of us.
On a consistent basis.
Right. It's the issue. That's I think the biggest issue with Jordan Kyrou. But it looks like it's kind of the light might be coming on for him.
It really does. And maybe
kind of flickering, but coming on.
There you go.
Yeah.
A little spark, if you will.
Yeah. Brooke, my number 2 is I love weekends like this where you turn on the TV for the first time on a Saturday or Sunday, and there's sports, NCAA tournament. And then when you go to bed, the TV still is showing sports, the NCAA tournament. It's great just to be able to lay around and watch sports on a weekend like we just had. It was pretty cool.
So a very productive weekend.
Very productive for me, yes. It was great, especially at this time of year. You know, it's really interesting how this time of year, the NCAA tournament, especially the first round of the NCAA tournament, coincides with the ability to go out and get Reese's eggs. So it's just, you lay around and eat Reese's eggs and watch college basketball. It's a pretty good weekend.
I realized how well it matches up.
It does.
But yeah, you're right. And then, early in the tournament, Friday, just go sit at a fish fry. All these school gyms, I guarantee you, will have a TV wheeled out into that cafeteria.
We were at Helen Fitzgerald's on Friday. It was magnificent. Yeah.
How was that, by the way?
It was great. It had a huge crowd. It was fun. CD and Marcy and I had a good time talking sports. It was good.
What did you eat?
What did I have? I don't even remember what I had there.
Wings?
I didn't have
Really?
wings. No, I had wings the day before. You guys knew.
We can do wings back-to-back days.
Yeah, this is a good point, Brooke. I don't even remember what I had on Friday. I may not have had anything.
No way.
I don't think I ordered
That's
food.
a missed opportunity, Randy.
I know.
I feel like, isn't wings like the food that you consume during March Madness? I feel like
Totally.
the most, that and pizza.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and this coming weekend, we'll have more of it. We have the NCAA tournament coming up on Friday and Saturday here on 101 ESPN.
Number 1.
My number one is going to be the fact that I have my parents in town this weekend. So it was just a lot of fun. We took them to Pinot. That's one of their favorite restaurants here in town. They absolutely love it. And it was just great having them here and just being able to spend some time with them. It was a great bridal shower that we had over at Meadowbrook Country Club. And we just had a fantastic time. But I always love every single moment that I could spend around my parents.
That's awesome.
So it was just a great weekend talking with them and talking with my dad about sports, of course. And my mom saying, "What? Who?" There is times that she's a big tennis fan, so she used to, especially when we had a lot more USA players, she would keep up with a lot of that. And she keeps up with the Titans, and she's learned a lot more about the Cardinals here too. But when my dad and I start going off on other little tangents, that's where it gets a little hairy. So we had to keep getting back on track.
That's cool. And I really enjoyed. My favorite thing about the weekend was to see just how outrageously good Jordan Binnington is. Even though the Blues allowed 4 goals, it's just ridiculous, the saves that he makes and gives you an opportunity, especially if you tighten down defensively. He gives you an opportunity come playoff time. The Blues, if for no other reason than Binnington, if they are fortunate enough to make the playoffs, just take it one game at a time and let him steal each game at a time, because he's the guy that can do it for you. He's the one Blues game breaker that they have, and he can win games for you. And I know he allowed 4 goals on Friday or on Saturday, but they aren't in the game if it's not for Jordan Binnington.
They're not talking about this season without Jordan Binnington.
Right.
If we're talking about this playoff push, he has been able to steal games for him all year. And Joe Hofer has been performing well lately. So they've been a great goalie tandem.
No doubt about it. That's 3 things we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, the Cardinals have pretty much nailed down their roster. So what do we think about it? And we want to hear from you. What do you think about it? We think we know on 101 ESPN. Sure, it's 7:30, but I want you to start thinking about lunch and a tantalizing meal at the Fenton Bar and Grill. And we were talking about wings earlier. Well, the best trash wings that you'll ever have are at the Fenton Bar and Grill. They are delectable. Have the fantastic trash wings at Fenton Bar and Grill with their signature golden sauce or their incredible ranch, and you will absolutely have a wonderful start to your lunch. And then they have spectacular wraps and burgers and sandwiches at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Great salads, too. So if you're looking for a great lunch, maybe a happy hour, maybe a meal tonight, stop by the Fenton Bar and Grill. They have so many great specials. Meatloaf Mondays, you'll enjoy that today. Stop by and say hi to Kelly and Megan and the whole crew over there at Fenton Bar and Grill. Chuck, the manager, is a great guy, and I'll tell you, I love it, and you will too. Whenever I stop in, somebody that heard these commercials says, hey, I stopped by because of you, and I really do appreciate that. When you go to the Fenton Bar and Grill, tell them Randy sent you. You can learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com. It's just off of Rudder Road in Fenton. You'll love it. It's a breathtaking lunch at the Fenton Bar and Grill.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Over the weekend, another draw for St. Louis City SC. This time it was a home draw against DC United, 2 goals apiece. Also over the weekend, the Blues went to overtime, a wild concept, against the Minnesota Wild, and they won that game 5-4. They'll be back in action against the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. 7 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the pregame show right here on your home for the St. Louis Blues starting at 6 p.m. And also in March Madness, not many upsets over the weekend. Technically only 2 upsets, and they were small ones. Number 5 Gonzaga over number 4 Kansas, and number 6 Clemson over number 3 Baylor. But one of your local teams did advance to the Sweet 16 as Illinois beat up on the Duquesne Dukes 89-63. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your Rodents up 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Okay, guys, what constitutes local? Like, is 2.5 hours away? Is that local?
Yes, because 2 hours away is still considered local. So we got to
2.5. So where do you draw the line?
2.5.
Is Butler a local team?
No, I think 3. I think 3.5, 4 hours is where you.
Okay, Butler's 3, right?
Well, not 2 states over. I mean, I think 1 state and 3 hours.
Okay,
is the furthest you can go.
Okay,
Which
so
I guess means Memphis is
Missouri State.
Man, we have a lot more local teams if you look at it from that angle, Randy.
Does that mean like Memphis is a local team?
Yeah, Memphis.
Yes, of course.
Dang it.
Yeah,
I was trying to keep.
KU.
No, that's 4. That's 4.5 hours.
Okay. Just
We might find a hole in this.
No, it's 4.5 hours.
So the Cardinals will open up their regular season on Thursday. They'll have games against the Cubbies today and tomorrow down in Mesa, Arizona. The Cardinals wrapping up Grapefruit League play, but they pretty much nailed down their roster, Brooke, over the weekend. They announced the rotation. Ollie Marmol said that Michaelis, as we know, will start the opener. Zach Thompson will start the second game, then Lynn, Matz, and Gibson. The likely bullpen, Ryan Helsley, Gallegos, Andrew Kittredge, Riley O'Brien, Yoho Romero, Matthew Liberatore, and then it looks like Andre Palante and Ryan Fernandez will be the last 2 to make it in the bullpen. The opening day lineup would have Brendan Donovan in left, Goldie at first, Nolan Gorman at second, and then Arenado, Contreras, and the DH would be Burleson, I would think, Walker, Carlson, and Mason Wynn, with a bench of Matt Carpenter, Brandon Crawford, Michael Ciani, who came over from the Reds late last season in a waiver deal, and Ivan Herrera. And then starting the year on the IL, and the Cardinals hope to get these guys back sooner rather than later, Sonny Gray, Keenan Middleton, Lars Nootbaar, and Tommy Edman. To me, this looks like a 500 team, an 81, 82 win team. Things can change when players come back and are healthy, and the health of other teams is taken into consideration because Cardinals aren't the only team that's starting the season with players on the IL.
No, I think that I'm not surprised at all that this is the moves that they made. I told you guys that was the bench that I was expecting. Didn't I say that on Friday that I believe that was the bench that we were expecting? It's not maybe the choice that a lot of fans, including myself, were hoping would happen with Victor Scott II, but I also understand the realistic side of it. But should I understand the realistic side of this, Randy? Because Victor Scott II looked really, really good this spring. I understand that he hasn't played in AAA yet, which he will now get the opportunity to, and who maybe will get a little bit more seasoning there. But maybe it's just me. I was hoping for possibly a more exciting move in seeing Victor Scott II make the opening day roster. But I do understand on the realistic side of things how that can really mess up this roster because Lars Nootbaar isn't far behind. Tommy Edman, it still seems like maybe he's not that far behind just based off of Ali Marmal's comments this past weekend that he's progressing a little bit more. So what should I be upset or should I be excited about this?
How would you feel if Victor Scott started the season, played a month for the Cardinals, and was hitting 130?
I would be a little upset. Yeah.
He's played 163 professional games. He has 656 professional at-bats. And as you mentioned, he's never played above AA. I am somebody, and I know this is old school, who likes the idea of players being developed when they make it to the majors.
Of course.
And the Cardinals didn't do that with Jordan Walker, and they weren't happy with his level of seasoning last year and sent him down. Mason Wynn, they gave a full season of AAA to. We'll see how it works out. But I'm just a fan of the team giving players an opportunity to be ready at the major league level and not be overwhelmed when they get to the majors. Ivan Herrera, when he came up 2 years ago, was overwhelmed. He was much better last year after he got almost a full season of playing at the pro level in the minors. Major league pitchers are really, really good. And if they find a hole, and I don't know if Victor Scott has a hole or not. I can tell you this. Last year, he hit 303. His career minor league batting average is 290. His career and this is in A-ball and AA, okay? His career on base in A and AA is 367. Really good. I will tell you definitively, without question, that Glasnow and Yamamoto are different than anybody he faced in AA.
Yeah, I would say so, especially the money at time.
Yes.
There's a clear difference there.
And rushing players, and the Cardinals have rushed players, and it hurts them. Players are not as good if you rush them.
And here's the thing is that I do understand. Now, just looking at everything that you broke down here with this roster, what are some of the biggest concerns? One, I do understand, and I like that Dylan Carlson, he is going to be your center fielder. He has performed well, especially as of late in the spring. He actually leads the Cardinals with 3 home runs, which I don't know why that was surprising to me. They really didn't hit that many home runs this spring training. But as you mentioned, Randy, it's just the spring. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. But he did hit those while batting left-handed, and that's the side of plate where he's been the least productive over the years. The biggest question with Dylan Carlson, I feel like, is this is a prove-it year for him. All right, you're getting another shot at this. Can you stay healthy? Can you really run away with this job? And can you possibly maybe not get back to that 2021 form where he finished 3rd in National League Rookie of the Year voting, but at least get back to that point on a more consistent level?
I don't feel like he's ever, since the start of 22, gotten into a groove because of the injuries. I would love to see this guy play 57 out of 60 games and see what happens because he's been hurt, and that does affect, especially when you're a switch hitter. You have to work on 2 different swings, and he likes to keep his 2 swings the same. But I want to see him get into a groove, and it wouldn't bother me at all to see him play the first month consistently. Donovan will be okay as your left fielder, and hopefully he'll be a guy that gets on base 39% of the time. He's okay as your leadoff hitter. That tells me, though, with Donovan at the top of the lineup and Goldie hitting second, if we were planning on having a running team, that's not going to happen, right? Because those guys are not going to steal bases. Gorman hitting third needs to get his bat on the ball. But if he's a guy that hits 40 home runs and hits 40 doubles and 45 maybe and winds up with 85 extra base hits, that'll be more than enough. Arenado needs to bounce back. I think Nolan last year, just based on his quotes, I think he was as affected mentally by what was happening as physically. He was
You could tell.
Yeah, he was stunned by what was happening. Contreras is going to be fine. Contreras might be the biggest problem and issue that they have. This is a staff, and I wonder if part of the method to their madness in signing veteran starting pitchers was to let them pitch their game and don't have to worry about Wilson Contreras calling a game. Still a concern. It has to be. And then Burleson or Carpenter is the DH. Hopefully Burleson winds up being the hitter he was at AAA. There's a good example for you of a player who he hit 331 in AAA but couldn't hit a lick once he got here. And then Walker, I expect him to ascend. We talked about Dylan Carlson. And then Wynn, I don't know what to expect from Mason Wynn. I hope that he can do what he did last year at AAA. If he can approximate that, then I think that'll be fine.
And this is something that I don't think that a lot of people want to hear, but at this point, just looking at it currently right now, and this is assuming that Sonny Gray will be back here soon, because I do think that was the right decision by the Cardinals, by the way, to have him start out on the injured list.
100%.
I am glad that they did that. I was really worried because we have seen that before, Randy, and the Cardinals are not the only team that does this at times, where maybe you just let a guy rush back a little bit too soon and then it becomes an issue throughout the season. I think about Waino last year. Mm-hmm. It felt like Waino, because of what happened to him early on, it took him a long time to really get back to the form that he needed to be. Really all the way until the end, it felt like. And he was struggling. He talked about it during the offseason and finally when he retired about all the health issues that he went through. You can't help from wonder if he hadn't rushed it maybe earlier on in that year, if he could have stayed a little bit more healthier during that range of time.
I hope that he can come back and, again, approximate what he did last year in terms of his earned run average and his overall number, second in the American League Cy Young voting. And then you have in the bullpen, as we mentioned, that group that provides hopefully a little more strikeout. With this rotation and with this lineup, and there are a lot of ifs. There are a lot of ifs in everybody's lineup, though. But even the Dodgers, they don't know what they're going to get out of Mookie Betts at shortstop. They kind of know what they're going to get out of Jason Hayward. But every team has ifs. The Cardinals have enough so that, for me, if they win 85 games and win the division, I will consider that a successful season. If they do, as I expect, they'll win 81, 82. And a lot of people on the text line say, oh, it's a 70-win team. It's atrocious. I don't know. I don't think that they're going to be worse than they were last year. And this is before we even consider injuries.
That is before we consider injuries. One, I do think the bullpen is way better than last season, so I think that that's a huge plus. We've talked about how bad the bullpen was last year. You have a lot more depth and options at this point as long as everybody stays healthy. You hope that Ryan Helsley and Giovanni Gallegos can get back to form this year. I think that's a big part of it as well. Riley O'Brien has been a revelation for the Cardinals as an addition to their bullpen that adds some swing and miss, and I'm sure he'll get some high leverage opportunities down the stretch. My biggest questions outside of what we see from this roster is, one, can they be better defensively? Because that's also going to be a huge asset for the pitchers as well. I think that Miles Mikolas was also hurt last season by the bad defense that was behind him.
Definitely.
And you're going to need it with this pitching staff this season as well. And can we see better situational hitting? And can we also maybe be just a tad bit more aggressive on the base paths? Just a tad bit more.
And that would come from the bottom of the lineup, right? The bottom of the lineup, you're going to have Walker, Carlson, Wynn be your aggressive players, because right now you don't have Tommy Edman when he gets on base as an aggressive player, and you don't have your top of the lineup guys as runners, or you don't have your runners at the top of the lineup. So I would guess if you're going to have more aggressiveness, it's going to have to come from the bottom of your lineup.
From the 618, which is always a bright sunshine early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So
happy birthday. Hope you had a happy birthday, 618.
So happy we are all good with a mediocre team. This STL media is so weak.
Well, number one, they haven't started. Number two, I don't know how mediocre they are. Now, they appear to be. And what did I say? I didn't say I'm happy with 81 and 81. It's just what I expect. So I think that, and I don't know that happiness is a concept that the 618 really has completely grasped at this point.
Yes, of course.
But I'm just saying what I think of this team. I would prefer that it was a team that I know is going to do better. But you know what? There have been Cardinal teams. The 1986 team I thought was going to be really, really good, and they wound up being terrible. I thought the 1992 team was going to be really good, and they wound up being terrible. One thing about baseball, Can anybody honestly say, can they come up with an X or a tweet from last year at this time where they said the Arizona Diamondbacks were going to be in the World Series?
God, no. That was a big surprise.
No. Or the Texas Rangers winning the World Series.
No.
So,
now, they did spend a lot of money, which helped.
They did. But the fact of the matter is, the reason that they play the games is because we just don't know. So take a deep breath, enjoy the competition, and if they do wind up sucking, and we'll know a lot about this team, I think, after the first month in terms of whether or not they're going to be able to compete, because they're playing a lot of tough teams. But to say that they're going to suck, I think this is... You're trying to validate your negativity. And I think that's a dangerous thing. I think we need to be a little bit happier and a little bit more optimistic in society these days.
Of course. And here's the thing. I completely understand, too, that you're going to have recency bias. Last year was unacceptable. We talked about that at length, Randy, about how unacceptable that was from the Cardinals, especially an organization that has so much history where they have won as much as the Cardinals have. To have a season like that is inexcusable. And there was a lot of different moving parts there that led to that. I don't know if I can blame exactly one thing, but at the end of the day, it was the roster construction. And I think, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I do believe that this roster, just looking at it from a realistic standpoint, taking out what I saw last season in certain ways, I think this is a better roster than last year.
I agree with that. And part of it is the guys that they were able to send down to Memphis. You need a 30 to 35-man roster now because of injuries, because of the way the roster is set up. But you have a lot more flexibility in the bullpen. You do have you're going to have a pretty decent rotation down at Memphis. You're going to have some pitchers that have a chance to be better. And you also have 4 players, I believe, that can help you in some way, shape, form, or manner that are on the IL to start the season. Gray, Middleton, Nootbaar, Edman, I think are all going to be helpful players when and if they get healthy. Matthew doesn't agree.
Oh, you don't want a front office that listens to fans' suggestions. They're some of them might not be the best at their job, but they're better than their job than you would be because they have to think differently.
Yeah.
Everybody in baseball is thinking 5 years ahead. You as a fan, I don't care how much you think you're thinking about it, you're thinking 1 or 2 years at the most, and that's not enough of a scope to actually be running a baseball team.
And I think if you listen every day, you know that we wish the Cardinals would have gotten a front of the rotation starter.
We said that a million times.
Changes the dynamic of a team. And the Dodgers went out and got a couple of those guys. And that's what's going to make them even greater than they were. By the time we get to the All-Star break, the San Francisco Giants are going to have 3 front-of-the-rotation starters. They have Blake Snell, who won the National League Cy Young Award last year. They have Robbie Ray, who won the American League Cy Young Award 3 years ago. And they have Logan Webb, who was second in the National League Cy Young voting last year. Are the Giants going to be better down the stretch? Probably, because they have 3 front-of-the-rotation guys. What baseball is, and I know it's changed a lot, but baseball is still and forever will be about pitching, pitching, pitching. And the teams that have it are going to be good, and the teams that don't, like the Cardinals, they're going to be great, and you have to just hope that they can sneak in. And that's what I'm hoping, is that they sneak in.
And that's the thing. And Sonny Gray gets back healthy. That's a huge part of your starting rotation success. Miles Michaelis, by the way, if you do want to put some stock into spring training, has looked great this spring training. So that is a plus for the Cardinals. Now, of course, I know that we've talked about Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, but Randy, you're helping me feel a little bit better about that they will be fine going into the season. Yeah. And they will not. Kyle Gibson,
they'll be what they were last year. They'll be what they are.
And I would take Kyle Gibson's 4.73 ERA last season. And Lance Lynn, I think that was a victim of circumstances more than anything. Everybody with the White Sox was not great last year, and I know that he moved on after that, but still, I think there was a lot of circumstances with that. My biggest question in the starting rotation, honestly, is just Steven Matz. I feel like he could possibly make or break the starting rotation in another way, but Zach Thompson is another option you have, and I feel like he will really rise to the occasion.
I hope he does, because that's the one guy that can change the dynamic of the rotation. If Thompson is a legitimate number 1 or 2, then all of a sudden you've got something that you didn't expect to have. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line for Tioli, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Take it or leave it next on 101 ESPN.
If you're looking to change up your daily fantasy game, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to UnderdogFantasy.com. You're going to download their mobile app and play their new Fantasy Pick'em game that is active right now in Missouri. You just pick 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams, select higher or lower on the player's stats, and then you're going to pick your entry fee. You're going to be entering a game alongside other underdogs, but all you need to do is hit your entries, and you'll be walking away with your winnings. Let's build an entry for the Blues. Big game against the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to go with 3 kind of small scorchers. We're going to take a 3 entry bet that's usually going to go for 6x. It's going to go all the way up to 10x on our entry. We're going to go Robert Thomas higher than 2.5 shots, Pavel Buchnevich higher than 2.5 shots, and then Jack Eichel higher than 0.5 goals. I'm going to go with that being the only goal the Vegas Golden Knights score in a Blues win. And you can do that right there on Underdog. And if you can't get your entry in before the game, you can always get it in with live entries as well. And of course, baseball's coming up as well. So if you want to get entries in for the Cardinals, that's coming up as well with opening day just around the corner. And you can all do it on Underdog. It's super easy to play and even easier to get started. You just go to their easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code ROCC, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a mystery special pick to use on your first pickup entry. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to get your first deposit of $10 or more up to $100 matched, plus your special pick. Must be 18 plus and present as they were Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Consult with your play call winner to gambler. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Take it or leave it.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Brooke, Matthew, and Randy, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO. Okay, Brooke, people are wondering how the Cardinals got better. Take it or leave it. You have seen a young player in any sport get better after their first or second year. You've seen it happen.
I've seen it happen.
Take it or leave it, you have.
Oh, I've seen it happen.
Okay. I think the people are just assuming that Mason Wynn, after 130 at-bats, what you saw last year is going to be what he was, or that Jordan Walker isn't going to get any better, or that Brendan Donovan is just going to be the same guy he was when he wasn't playing last year. I think sometimes you have to, there's a serious lack of nuance in regards to watching sports. And let me just say this. This is my belief. I think that young players get better. For example, I don't think the Atlanta Braves would have been the Atlanta Braves that they are now if people like Ronald Acuna and Ozzie Albies and Austin Riley had stayed the exact same that they were in their rookie years. But they got better as they got older and more experienced. And that's one of the reasons that the Braves are better now. So how do you get better as a young player? Get experience. That's you aren't the same player, hopefully, that you were when you were 21, when you're 22, 23, 24. And maybe it's naive of me to think, but I have seen players get better, so I'm just thinking that the Cardinals are thinking their young players are going to get better too.
And specifically for hitters too, what do you think is the sweet spot age-wise for them? Because I would say around that 26 to almost 30 range. 28
to 32, I think, is the prime for a baseball hitter, a fielder.
And they're 22? Mason Wynn and Jordan Walker. I think Jordan Walker's 21.
Yeah.
So they got a little bit of time left, and that's a lot of experience. So they will get better, and that's the biggest thing. I do understand some concerns, but with that one, you just got to let the young players grow. What do you want to do? You want to send them back down to the minors? That's what we got mad at the Cardinals for with Jordan Walker last year.
Could trade him.
No.
Well, trade him for more established players.
No, please no. Okay. We have enough leadership on this team. Okay. Take it or leave it. We don't need any more leadership on this team.
Take that. We've got plenty.
Who is the leader amongst the leaders is my question.
Who was the leader amongst the leaders last year?
I'm talking about this year, since
Oh.
there's so many leaders in there. Who's
Who
the
is
leader
this-
of the leaders?
The straw that stirs the drink.
Oh, yes.
It's Marp.
All right.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Take it or leave it.
You better be
Shohei
a leader.
Ohtani. Take it or leave it. Shohei Ohtani will be speaking today, which I do believe is the right thing for him to do. But take it or leave it, we will not learn anything new from this press conference today.
I'm going to take that based upon what we've already read about the clubhouse meeting last week in Seoul. I'm going to say that we don't learn anything new from Shohei.
Take it or leave it, Shohei didn't know about this.
I'm taking that. Yeah, I don't think that many athletes, maybe he did pay attention. There are a lot of athletes that don't pay attention to their finances at all. They've got money managers.
Surprisingly, actually.
Yeah, and he might be one of them that has never even opened the email about his latest bank statement.
Just vibing. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, let
as the
somebody
kids
else handle
say.
that. Matthew, what do we got?
Take it or leave it. No 15-game winner and no 40 home run hitter for the Cardinals this year.
Leave it.
I'm going to leave that.
Nolan Gorman.
Oh.
He's going to win 15 games. No, he's not.
Now, that would be a surprise.
I'll take the, I think at the moment, I'll take the no 15-game winner. But I think Gorman has a chance to hit 40.
40 this year, you think, for Gorman? Is it the magical popcorn, Randy, that
It's the
is
magic
doing
popcorn.
it for you?
Yes, it is.
I sent that over the weekend. What account was that on social media that made that post?
I've got it right here. MLB.
Oh my gosh. It was an MLB account where they took that specific quote from John Ditton, his article about Nolan Gorman, and they just put the popcorn portion in there, making it seem like Nolan Gorman, his back issues have been healed just because of the popcorn.
Yeah, talking baseball.
Yes, that's what it is. And the way that it was phrased, Randy, if you don't mind sharing
read it?
Yes.
New popcorn. Nolan Gorman says switching from popcorn made with peanut oil to popcorn made with coconut oil has helped him overcome his back issues.
So if you just hear that and you didn't read the story, you think that popcorn healed his back issues. Yeah. Take it or leave it. That's not the case.
I'll take it, yeah. He lost 10 pounds.
He did, but I think it was more than popcorn because if you go and read the article, he explains that it was just overall some other dietary things that he did as well to help with his back issues. But it's just funny to me, the phrasing of that, and people in the comments who were taking it seriously, where they're just like, oh, come on, popcorn.
People in the comments think he was rubbing the popcorn on his joints or something. Like what? Like really? Like
I don't know.
People can't extrapolate a thought from a headline?
Apparently not.
That's disappointing. Take it or leave it. Movie theater popcorn is a top 5 snack/food.
Ooh, this is a great question. I'm going to take it.
Top 5? I can't
Ooh,
take
top
it. 5
in general snack.
It's very good. But I've never in my life craved movie theater popcorn. I like it
the
a
butter,
lot.
I think top 5. I think it's a top 5 snack. It's number 5.
Wow.
Because it always hits. You can have it at like 9 p.m. On a Tuesday, or you can have it at the movie theater with a big blockbuster. Like you can hit popcorn always works because it's always light, but it always gives you a little bit of that little buttery, little salty.
Okay, chocolate chip cookies. Chocolate chip cookies.
That's in there too. Yeah.
Greater or less than?
Greater.
Chocolate chip cookies top 3.
Greater.
Okay.
But you're putting it above popcorn.
That's what I'm saying. Top 3
Okay.
popcorns.
Pringles.
Popcorn's higher than Pringles in my opinion.
Yeah, popcorn's higher than Pringles.
I go.
You're talking about movie theater popcorn, Randy.
Right, I know. Yeah.
Butter. You can add things. You can get fancy and put some M&Ms in there too.
Well, that's different now. Now I still don't know that I would rate. This is just me. All apologies to Nolan Gorman. I don't think that I could ever put popcorn in. Oh yeah, I could have. Back in my top 5. We used to have a great place in Ladue called Poptions Popcorn. It was unbelievable. The guy retired that owned it, but it was made with like Bissinger's chocolate and M&Ms and stuff. It was awesome.
I'm confused.
So it was top 5 all time.
Somebody says it's not the same popcorn though, like the old days where it was cooked in front of you. Now that's just shipped in big bags. You go to the wrong movie theater, man. The Marcus. I go to Ronnie's and there's still the big giant machine that they're pouring into the top thing that pops all the pop. Like, what are you talking about?
But maybe it's fake. Is that what they're saying? Is that's all an illusion that's in front of you and it's actually
you see it
shipped
popping.
in?
I see it popping. I see them pouring kernels in. And also, I get bags at home. That popcorn still hits.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I love
Legit
popcorn.
question. Legit question. I can't make it top 5 all time.
No, I'm with this person.
Yeah, I'm kind of with them too. Take it or leave it. All the young players' games will escalate, but Goldie and Arenado will lose a little bit.
I'm leaving it. I think Arenado bounces back.
I'm leaving it as well. I think it will be a better season for Arenado. He's the one that wanted all the veteran leadership in that clubhouse, so maybe this will help him not have to worry about that as much.
Not have to lead as much. Won't have to worry about kids running overrunning the clubhouse.
Yeah, there was a lot of kids in that clubhouse, huh, Randy?
There were a lot of them. They're overrunning the whole thing.
All right, Randy, let's see where your hopium really hits. Take it or leave it. Nolan Gorman leads the National League in home runs.
Oh, does Kyle Schwarber still play in the National League?
Yes.
Then no.
Okay.
We'll have to leave that
Yeah.
one.
So
But okay, realistically though, where do we think that he can rank?
Oh my God.
Can he be in the top 5?
If he hits 40, yeah, he'll be in the top 5. Yeah, he will. So he'll
Come on, Magic Popcorn.
But he would be third on the Phillies. Because you got a healthy Harper back.
Someone's saying popcorn doesn't taste as good as it now as it used to back in the 80s and 90s. May I submit, popcorn tasted better in the 80s and 90s because you were 15. And now you're 40, and the serotonin in life it just doesn't hit as much as just overall. I'm just gonna say maybe that's the thing, and it's you and not the popcorn that changed. Because I feel like butter and salt taste about the same that it used to.
No,
I'm just throwing it out there. Just a theory I have about as things I used to love when I was little start making me less happy. As I get older, I have a theory about this thing now that things just don't make you as happy as you get older because
you're saying as you get older you get sad.
No, I just think I think things that hit
things
when you
go
were
from
a kid,
bright to gray and
you
dark.
have them across 30 years of your life, and so it's not as special anymore. That's all I'm saying.
So we've already established chocolate chip cookies. Movie theater popcorn or Reese's?
Oh, this is tough because it's two different food groups.
Movie theater
for me.
popcorn.
Snacks.
Movie theater popcorn.
I think I might go to.
I don't know
with
why I'm
popcorn.
Hurt you.
Just straight Reese's, just a regular cup,
Yeah.
or the entire family.
The entire
just a
family.
Reese's peanut butter cup.
I'm taking popcorn over just a regular piece of peanut butter cup.
Movie theater popcorn or Oreos?
Oh, I'm taking popcorn.
Oh. Now this.
But is it Oreos with peanut butter, Randy? Because remember, we had that great snack that I introduced you into CD to.
Yeah, it's that. Okay. This is not my jam, but movie theater popcorn or Doritos?
Popcorn. I used to like Doritos, but not anymore.
Okay.
Is it because they taste less good, or is it because you got older?
Yeah, as I got older, everything got sad and stale.
I'm gonna go with movie theater popcorn.
Movie theater popcorn or Fritos?
Oh, Fritos is all about the dips.
I don't like Fritos, so popcorn.
Movie theater popcorn or nachos?
Nachos.
Depends. Is this movie theater nachos?
Oh, damn, Brooke, that's a good question.
Because
Yes.
it's that specific cheese that you can also get at the ballpark.
I'm gonna go with popcorn then, actually.
I still like popcorn too.
Movie theater popcorn or Cheetos?
Popcorn.
It depends. What kind of Cheetos?
Whichever, crunchy.
I do love crunchy ones.
Okay.
That's my weakness.
You picked the perfect one.
I'm going to do the crunchy ones. And finally, something that I'll pick over popcorn.
I just, I not that I would not order. I really enjoy movie theater popcorn. I really do. I just can't put it as a top 5.
I'll say this, Randy. This doesn't count as movie theater popcorn, but let's not forget, you can also get cheddar or caramel popcorn.
Oh, that Popcornopolis at Popcornopia at Costco, delicious.
You've brought that in before.
It's really
I've had
good.
that. That is really
Cheddar
good.
popcorn's great. So there's your Cheeto fix. Caramel popcorn's also fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many things you can do with popcorn, Randy. The possibilities are endless.
But not movie theater popcorn.
I already told you what you could do with it. You can
What
throw
are you
some
doing?
M&Ms
You're buying
in there.
a $6 box of M&Ms to throw in there?
Oh yeah. Or
Cookie dough.
I mean,
They keep
not
the cookie dough
saying
cold.
that I do.
I don't do that.
Not saying that I do this, but maybe I sneak in some M&Ms into my purse or something. I've seen people do it, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying I
You're a
did
man
it,
of
but
the
I've seen
people,
people
Brooke. You're a man
sneak
of the
in
people.
snacks to the movie theater before.
Well, I've seen that happen too, but now we're getting into, again, some sketchy areas.
Sketchy areas. Crime. It's not a crime. What am I going
is.
to do? Arrest me for what?
What do you
Having
do?
great popcorn?
See, you have a purse. We don't have a purse.
You can have a coat with you, or you bring in a blanket, and then you sneak in a bunch of. But then you
I'm an adult
imagine,
man gonna bring in a
imagine you
blanket.
unravel a blanket, and then all the candy just falls.
Not great. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, and by the way, we do appreciate your texts. Tonight is without question the Blues' biggest game of the season. But what happens if they lose? That's next on 101 ESPN. in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Blues and the Vegas Golden Knights tonight at Enterprise Center, and we'll have that for you at 6 o'clock with the face-off at 7. Kerbs and Joey will have the call. Brooke, the Blues are 4 points behind Vegas for the final wildcard spot in the Western Conference right now. If the Blues win this game, they'll obviously be within 2. But if they lose this game, they will be down 6 points. I am of the belief that if the Blues lose this game tonight, the season is over. What do you think?
I think that's very reasonable, Randy, and I don't think that you're being dramatic at all. And I agree with you because there's no room for error for the Blues currently. So they have to play a perfect game tonight. And with the Las Vegas Golden Knights, this is a huge opportunity for the Blues if they do win, because Vegas has a very daunting schedule ahead of them because this is the start of a really tough road trip for them. I mentioned it earlier. They're going to be facing the Nashville Predators next. Then they'll be facing the Jets. So you have a huge opportunity in front of you. I just never know what to believe, Randy, with this Blues group. I am high on them right now, but it was just a week ago, and I feel like we've had to say this several times this season where I felt like we wrote them off because of the way that they're performing. They'll have a great game, and then all of a sudden they fall flat. So I never know what to fully believe, but I think one thing that has been a noticeable change is some of the different line changes that Drew Bannister has implemented here, where you have moved some guys around. And whatever is happening here, I feel like it's pushing not only Brandon Saad forward, but Jordan Kyrou as well.
Right. There's definitely a better chemistry now than there was. I don't either. But than there was just a few weeks ago. But if Vegas wins tonight, the Blues, after 72 games, would have 79 points. Even if they would go 9-1, they would have 97 points. Vegas, to get to 97, would only need 14 points. And by the way, they have a game in hand.
Yes.
They would need 14 points in their last 11 games to tie, and then they would have the tiebreaker. So I would think that tonight is the game of the season. And we can talk about this tomorrow, but if the Blues win this, then Vegas has to play Nashville tomorrow, and the Blues will get Calgary on Thursday. I think the Blues would have a real opportunity by the end of this week to be in a playoff spot if they win tonight. But it is a daunting task.
It is a daunting task. And I want to go back to the line changes because, as you mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, Randy, that maybe it has something to do with Thomas. And I think that Thomas and Kyrou are great together. But with these new line combinations, you do have Jake Neighbors, Thomas, and Shen on the top line. And it's working for them. And on the second line, you have Brandon Saad, Buchnevich, and Kyrou. So you have Kyrou centering Buchnevich centering for Kyrou. I wonder if there's some reason there why that has really worked out well for him.
And perhaps Buchnevich is finally becoming more. First of all, Pavel Buchnevich is a really good defensive player, and Saad is responsible enough. But one thing that we're getting this year that we didn't in the past is not all the time, but a pretty good 200-foot game out of Jordan Kyrou. So you got a group that's willing to go back and get the puck back for you. And Buchnevich is perhaps becoming more comfortable with the idea of being a center, because last year he didn't seem to like it. And it's not like he's a natural at that position, but he is interesting to watch out there. And I think that he's getting better at the center position. And by the way, I think it also forces Kyrou to be even more of a complete player, because he gets dished to all the time with Thomas, right?
He does.
And now it seems like there's a lot more puck movement with this line than there was with the Thomas line.
There really is. And then you also have the defensive pairings of Leddy and Parayko, which seems to be working out. Krug and Kessel. Kessel has been great for the Blues this season, and I'm glad that he has been able to come into this. And then you have Perunovic and Falk. And, of course, the goalie tandem of Bennington and Hofer is a big reason why the Blues have been able to get to this point. And I think that it's the whole reason that if they do make the playoffs, it's because of those two.
I agree with you 100%, especially Jordan Bennington.
Especially him.
Who still has not missed 2 consecutive games for the Blues. And we talk about the mercurial play of a guy like Krug. Man, another guy that is at times really difficult to watch is Krug. Did I say Krug? I meant Kyrou. But I would like to see more consistency out of Torrey Krug, too.
I would. Now, he has gotten a little bit better than from what we saw early on this season. I kind of feel the same way about Justin Falk, though. But I feel like Justin Falk has been battling through possibly some injuries. We know that he's had some longer stints with injuries this season. I've wondered that about him. But as of right now, I would just like to see those two be a little bit more consistent. That's what you want to see from your veterans, right?
100%. They've got to lead the way. If you're going to make the playoffs, those have to be the guys. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. That's today's Fresh Take. Next up, Kerb's joining us to talk more Blues and Golden Knights here on 101 ESPN.
Well, folks, we've got a heck of a sports week in St. Louis. We've got opening day of the baseball season, and tonight a big one for the St. Louis Blues. And how do you make sure you're comfortable and ready to go? Well, make sure that the house is exactly the way you want it before you get up in the morning, and that's by making sure that your HVAC system and your air conditioning is all ready to go as we start to turn from the winter into the spring. It's Classic Air Care. They've been making people comfortable since 1926. They stand behind their work. And they know nobody wants to buy an HVAC system or even call for repairs, and yes, even scheduling maintenance. But when you need help, you need someone you can trust, and Classic Air Care are those people. Listen to this review. These guys are amazing. Nick has taken care of my homes 3 times. Always get amazing service. Go to classicaircare.com, schedule a maintenance for your unit before you start firing up that air conditioner. Maybe you want to put a humidifier on there this year, whatever it may be. It's Classic Air Care. They'll take great care of you like they have so many people for nearly 100 years. It's Classic Air Care, and we'll schedule online at classicaircare.com.
It's time for KerbSide with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
And the Vegas Golden Knights tonight over at Enterprise Center, 6 o'clock pregame, 7 o'clock face-off. Joe Vitale and Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, who joins us right now on 101 ESPN. Kerbs, good morning. How you doing?
Randy, I'm awesome. How are you?
Everything's great. Okay, I want to start with this, though, because I know you were bothered by what happened, what transpired the other night at the St. Louis City SC game.
Yeah, I was a little fired up, wasn't I?
You were, big time.
Yeah.
Not a little.
You know what? Like, this is something so simple to me, and if you listen to enough Blues games, too, you know that we're really consistent when it comes to this, right? Okay? Like, embellishing is one of the worst damn aspects of sports.
Yep.
Okay? And leagues can kill it. Leagues could absolutely kill it. The NHL does a joke of a job when it comes to embellishing, right? I mean, we know how hard the game of hockey is to officiate, right? And guys embellishing make it worse. So, yeah, there now are some replays for high-sticking, things like that, right? And we've seen Oscar Sundqvist get fined for embellishing a few weeks ago. But that's the second. You got to get caught twice before you get fined. Get caught once. Get caught once, right? And it's not just a $2,000 fine. I mean, you got to get caught like 5 times before you get suspended in the NHL, right? Right? Mm-hmm. Get caught once, $10,000 or a 2-game suspension. It dies. And what Major League Soccer has is a major problem on their hands. And that's what we saw. And this is not about, yes, I know they have replacement refs. I know they're going through that, right? So we still have to wait for the 2 new rules, which I think are going to be fantastic to be implemented, where if they've got to bring the trainers onto the field, you're on the sideline for 2 minutes, right? And so... Yeah.
Uh-oh. We lost Kerbs. He was on a roll.
I know. Somebody needs to see if... I feel like this might be a job done by the MLS refs.
I think it is,
to
probably.
Silence him.
Yeah. Darn it.
He was on a roll. His tweeting this weekend was absolutely cracking me up. I agree with him, though. Yeah. I don't like the embellishing.
No, and I agree with the 1 strike and you're out penalty, too. I think that's the way to go. Mm. So just if you embellish like the DC United goalie did, kick him out of the game and fine him. That'll stop it. That'll stop it in a big hurry.
I don't think they could afford to lose any more players at this point, Randy.
Oh, that's
DC
true.
United, they were struggling. Yeah. As Roman Murphy said, he thought he lost a leg there.
Yeah, he probably did. So they deserved it. Matthew's trying to call Kerbs back. We'll see if...
Yeah, sorry, we lost him.
We got him.
Oh. Here's Kerbs.
Okay, he's back. Okay, you were mid-rant about how the league can solve this problem, but they don't because it takes 5 times in the NHL to get suspended.
Yeah, like you have to embellish 4 or 5 times. Well, do it once. $10,000 fine right off the bat, right? And you do it in Major League Soccer. They've got a bigger problem here because, and this is not about the replacement refs. And yes, it'll be a good thing when they get their act in order, get their real refs on the field, and implement their new rules. That's going to be a big help. But this was on the players. The players were the ones that decided they wanted to flop around. The players are the ones decided at every call they wanted to get around the referee. And this guy should have been handing out yellow cards and red cards like they were Tic Tacs.
Agreed.
So I put this on the coaches. I put this on the players. I don't put this on the referees. And by the way, for all the quote unquote soccer people out there that seem to think that they're the only fans of the sport, like, first off, kiss my butt, right? Okay, like, all right. There's plenty of other people that know the sport, and those that don't like diving, right, and those that don't like embellishing. If you want to look at me and say that there's an art form, as one fan on Twitter liked to say, it's an art. Like, okay, you're messed up in the head. Like, you're just messed in the head. Okay, all right. It's not part. Like, yes, it's a horrible aspect, culture of the sport that crept in, and the sport needs to fix it.
Kerbs, sleeping then becomes an art form, right?
What's that?
If you lay down and go to sleep, it's an art form. Yeah,
it's an art form.
There's a lot of things that we can apply art form to.
Yeah. It's just one of those. And listen, we're as you know, I'm pretty consistent. Like, in the NHL, we hate it. And here's what it did. Like my wife loves going to the games. All right, we have season tickets to the games. We go down to the games. Love going to the games. Right? Like I'm a huge fan of Klaus. Klaus was my favorite player last year. All he's doing now is throwing his hands in the air every time a call is made. He's 6'6", could absolutely dominate. Right? Mm-hmm. You know, he gets bumped. He falls onto the ground, holds his head. He throws his hands in the air at his teammates. He's throwing his hands in the air at the referee. Put your hands down, toughen up, and play hard for us. That's what we want as fans. And here's the one thing, and I give Berkey a ton of credit on this. I forget which player it was kind of down near midfield, and then once again another scrum around the referee, and Berkey went and he picked his guy up. And like,
it's great.
I love that part of it. Like, hey, that's not the type of soccer that we want to see in St. Louis. That doesn't represent this city. That doesn't represent our values, you know. And for those that, like, you really got to be messed up to think, oh my God, that's so awesome. I pay like this one guy. I bought a ticket so I could go down to the soccer game and watch a guy fake an injury. I saw what I came for. I can go home now, happy.
Right.
So, listen, but here's the thing, and DC United was awful at it. So, yeah, it's a pretty good rant because I love the product. I love going down. I've already been down to 3 games this year. Like we landed from Minnesota, literally, and I drove straight down to the game to meet my wife and daughter. I love going down there. I'm still going to be going down there, but at some point, the players on the field have to decide if that's the style of play that they want to play. Like I got to think as a pro athlete, guys, that's what you want. You're a pro athlete. You're supposed to be the best of the best. You're supposed to be the toughest of the toughest, mentally strong, and that's what you choose to be as a player. No thanks.
Kerbs, I 100% agree with you. And you have a lot of people texting in as well who are agreeing with you. But, of course, we got to talk about some hockey because I think that this is, without saying this, but you probably should, this is the biggest game of the year for the Blues tonight against the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And they're coming off that huge win, that overtime winner against the Wild. I want to talk about specifically Jordan Kyrou and what you've seen from him lately. He looks like a very, very confident player now compared to maybe what you've seen a little bit here recently. But whatever's going on with Jordan Kyrou, what is it?
Well, it feels like every game for about the last 2 months has been the biggest game of the year, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And in all fairness, it has been. So this is the next one. I do think, though, you know, this is going to be a tough one. I mean, the Blues, I think, are clearly an underdog coming into this game, you know, from a standing standpoint, from a betting standpoint, however you want to look at it. But I will say, you know, even though Vegas has played 1 fewer games than the St. Louis Blues, they've got the same number of wins. These two teams have the same number of wins. And a victory tonight by the Blues moves them to within 2 points of a playoff spot. And then but even because they won their last 2 games, a loss here with the gauntlet that Vegas is about to go through, you know, I don't necessarily think kills your hopes either. So that's a good thing. And one of the reasons, and if he can keep going, as you said, Brooke, it's a big deal. Jordan Kyrou. Yeah, I think he had goals in like 3 of his previous 14 games until the weekend. And something clicked really well in Ottawa. And then you had to be excited to see that it continued in Minnesota. And it wasn't – I know it's easy to look at the 6 points over 2 games. But, he was engaged against Kaprizov. Those two were bumping shoulders. You know, he was creating some space for himself. He was cutting through the middle of the ice. He was commanding the puck. So – yeah, that's a positive. And I think what we've seen from Jordan Kyrou is still some of the streakiness. You know, this is only his 3rd full season in the National Hockey League. And, you consider the fact that as he was turning pro, everybody was dealing with COVID. So things may be stunted a little bit there. But the key for him is consistency. You're not going to get your best every single night. We get that. I mean, the Blues, tonight's game number 13 in the last, I think, 24 days. Right, it's a tough grind with a lot of travel. It's a tough grinding schedule, but you can impact the game even if you're not scoring goals, and by just making simple, smart plays with a puck. And that's the thing with him and Buchnevich, Brooke. Like they get the puck over the line, and sometimes they still like to go east-west rather than just dump it in. And in that Minnesota game, they just got it in deep and made Minnesota come 200 feet. You're going to need that style tonight.
Kerbs, Alex Pietrangelo has been out for a while, and even with a really great, talented team like Vegas, Petro is a key. Have you heard anything? Do you know if he has a chance to be back tonight? I know that he's been day to day, but man, he's a difference maker even for a super talented team.
Well, he's a difference maker because he's a number 1 defenseman, without a doubt. So, you know, even though the fact that they improved their decor at the trade deadline. I don't expect him to play tonight. But I haven't been down to the rink. I don't even know if he made the trip, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So we'll find out. Now, did he come to St. Louis and join him here? I don't know how that goes yet. So having not been to the rink, I don't have a better insight for you on that one. Other than look, that's a big piece missing for them. Now they still have an amazing amount of talent. Shea Theodore, gets in there and just does what he does. Like this is a team that by the time you if you count LTIR plus the Robin Leonard contract, things like that, they're actually spending close to like $115 million on payroll.
Oh man,
so, right? Yeah, that's another loophole I'd love to see fixed in the NHL. But they're a good team that hasn't found some consistency. And look, they're a threat right now. They're beginning this gauntlet. They're going St. Louis to Nashville to Winnipeg to Minnesota to Edmonton. Right? They've got Vancouver on this list. They have a chance if the Blues or Minnesota stay hot. They have a chance of getting bumped out of the playoffs, and it'd be the first time since 2007 with Carolina that team won the Cup and missed the playoffs the next year. And I got to tell you, I think a lot of hockey fans would almost love to see it. They become the villain of the NHL in a lot of ways, and I love that. By the way, we need villains in sports, so I think it's a good thing.
Kerbs, always good to have you with us. We will be tuned in tonight, 6 o'clock pregame, 7 o'clock face-off, and have a great week, sir.
Randy, thanks for the Monday morning therapy. I'm calmer now. I go to the ring with a clear head. All good.
Sounds good. All right, brother. See you later.
All right, guys.
That is the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, Chris Kerber. Coming up, if we need a fighter, I think we do. Did I win on Friday?
You did.
I think I won twice. I won twice on Thursday and twice on Friday. Did the gauntlet, too.
Oh, you did. I forgot about
that. For the gauntlet both days?
Both days, yeah.
How did that go?
I won.
What were the categories? Yes.
One of them was hockey. I didn't get random, I can tell you that.
Oh, dang it. So, I would love to see you do random.
I would hate to see me do random.
Randy would be so mad if he did random.
I would. So, anyway, we need a fighter. So if you'd like to fight, all you need to do is text into the Air Comfort Service sex line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. And maybe you'll fight me here on 101 ESPN. The fight is next.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. Over the weekend, the Cardinals closing out their spring in Florida and finalizing their roster. Cards falling to the Astros 9-4 on Sunday to close out their Grapefruit League play at 11-12-5. Lance Lynn, who was named the starter for the home opener on April 4th, allowed 6 runs in 4 1/3 innings of work. As for the roster, Victor Scott II was one of 6 players reassigned to the minor leagues and will begin the year in AAA Memphis. Michael Ciani made the opening day roster as a backup outfielder. The Cardinals close out their spring out west in Arizona with 2 games against the Cubs. Steven Matz will be on the mound today. First pitch is at 3:05.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Here's one of the cool things about Gloria Liu from Your Home Sold Realty, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you need to sell your home but need time to find your next home or build that new construction, well, what if I told you that you could sell your home and stay in it for up to 12 months while you found your next home? It sounds like your situation. There's only one agent you need to meet, and that's Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She is going to do a great job. She has all kinds of different ways to sell your home. And she'll sell your home, and she'll guarantee it in writing that you'll sell it because she already has buyers, thousands of ready buyers with over 20 years of buyers and in her exclusive database looking to buy in your neighborhood and in your price range and in your time frame. That's how Gloria nets you the most money and creates the highest demand. Many times with multiple offers, and that means more money in your pocket. Gloria sells for more money and faster when compared to other agents in our area. She is St. Louis's local real estate authority. It's Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Over the weekend, St. Louis City SC, with another draw, they became the first ever expansion team to start their first 5 games of back-to-back seasons unbeaten. They become the 5th ever team in MLS history to do that with 1 win and 4 draws this season. Again, a 2-2 draw with DC United. The Blues went to overtime against the Wild over the weekend, and they won that game 5-4. They host the Golden Knights tonight, 7 p.m. puck drop, 6 p.m. pregame show right here on 101 ESPN, your home for the St. Louis Blues. Also, in the NCAA tournament over the weekend, the Fighting Illini moved on with a big win over Duquesne into the Sweet 16. There are only 2 technical upsets in the round of 32, and that was number 5 Gonzaga, number 6 Clemson, number 11 UNC, the only double-digit seed to make it into Sweet 16, beating number 14 Oakland in their round of 32 matchup. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Kerber.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Randy, and Rocc here, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Nathan. Nathan, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Nice. Have you faced Randy before in the fight?
Yeah, I did it a long time ago with DeMarco Farr.
Okay.
Back, I couldn't even tell you the year.
Do you remember how you finished in that match?
Not good.
Oh,
not good.
So this is years in the making for this redemption for you.
I don't. If you want to call it that, I'm just like sports trivia.
There you go. All right. You ready for question number 1, Nathan?
Yeah, here we go.
All right. While Chris Bosh will always be known as the third wheel of the Heatles, he was a 5-time All-Star in his own right as the leader of this Eastern Conference franchise. Is it the Pacers, the Raptors, or the Hornets?
The Toronto Raptors.
The Saints' first ever playoff victory as a franchise was over the Rams in 2000. Who was the starting quarterback for the Saints in that game? Was that John Kitna, Jeff Blake, or Aaron Brooks?
Aaron Brooks.
Question 3, Nathan. Which Sweet 16 team added to their NCAA record for Sweet 16 berths with their 31st over the weekend? Was it UNC, UConn, or Duke?
I believe that's North Carolina.
And number 4, the Conference of Champions, a.k.a. the Pac-12, has one final chance to win a national title before it collapses. Who was the last Pac-12 school to win the title, taking it home in 1997? Is that Oregon, California, or Arizona?
Arizona.
All right, we will double-check the score. We will go get Randy Kerber.
Now, Nathan, you seemed a little possibly nervous or worried going into the fight, but you were very confident in all your answers. How are you feeling after that?
I feel okay. I feel that it might go to a tiebreaker.
Okay. We'll see. Randy is always ready to go. Now, he did have the fight and the gauntlet, and he has his grapes. Yeah. So he has been mentally tested here lately, to say the least. And he's eating grapes right now.
Yeah, I know he went against hockey on Friday in the gauntlet, so that...
You heard that.
I don't remember how I did.
How did you do?
I don't know.
I know he won. He won.
I guess I won.
He just doesn't remember his point total.
I guess I won, Randy. So, Randy, say hi to Nathan.
Nathan, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks for checking in and playing. We are going to have a good time here.
Question number 1, Randy.
Yes.
While Chris Bosh will always be known as the third wheel of the Heatles, he was a 5-time All-Star in his own right as the leader of this Eastern Conference franchise.
I'm going to go with Toronto Raptors. I'm going to go with Toronto.
Randy, the Saints' first ever playoff victory as a franchise was over the Rams in 2000. Who was the starting quarterback for the Saints in that game?
I think it was Aaron Brooks. I'm going to go with Aaron Brooks, number 2, I believe.
Which Sweet 16 team added to their NCAA record for Sweet 16 berths with their 31st over the weekend?
I'm going to go with the North Carolina Tar Heels, Brooke. North Carolina.
And the Conference of Champions, a.k.a. the Pac-12, has one final chance to win a national title before it collapses. Who was the last Pac-12 school to win the national title in basketball, taking it home in 1997?
1997. Okay, 1995 was UCLA. Did they win it in 1997? That would be logical. You know, I'm going to go with Arizona, though. I'm going to go with the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats.
What was that?
I'm sorry.
Didn't you ever see, what was that movie, the Disney movie?
Oh, was that the High School Musical?
High School Musical.
Where they did
Unfreaking believable. Oh
that was very realistic of a high school experience, wasn't it?
It really was.
Oh, wow. Here's the thing. We have a tiebreaker because these questions that I thought were difficult apparently were very easy for you and Nathan. So we're going to go to a tiebreaker here, and the rules are simple. I'm going to read out the question. After I read out the question, we're going to give Randy a moment to write down his answer, so don't say anything, Nathan. After Randy has shown us his answer on his notepad, then, Nathan, you will say your answer audibly. Randy will then show everyone the notepad. He'll say it out loud, and whoever is closest to the pin is going to be the winner of today's fight. Nathan, do you understand those rules? Nathan?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. I was like, if we drop a caller in the middle of a tiebreaker fight, I don't know what I'm going to do here. Randy, do you understand the rules?
I understand the rules.
Do you
sir.
have paper?
I do. I have Lindenwood paper.
showing
Nice.
it.
All right, here we go. Tiebreaker. Friend of the show, Cody Schrader, who had a really good pro day, hopes to hear his name called when the NFL draft unfolds next month in Detroit. How many total touchdowns did Cody Schrader score as a Missouri Tiger? Friend of the show, Corey Schrader, just tore up Mizzou's pro day, and he hopes to be drafted next month at the NFL draft. How many total touchdowns did Schrader score as a Missouri Tiger? Just a moment, Nathan. We're getting Randy's answer shown us here in studio. And Randy Carricker has a guess. Nathan, what is your guess,
Total
sir?
guess.
I'm going to go 27.
Nathan is going to guess 27. Randy Carricker, what is your guess, sir?
I guessed 23, sir.
All right, I'm going to do a little math here and figure out if we have a
Really?
winner. We do, in fact, stop it, Carrie. We do, in fact, have a winner in today's fight. Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis. With the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Just win, baby.
Unfreaking believable. You both hit the jack in the regular questions, and then Randy Carricker decided, I like getting things exactly freaking correct today, and Randy Carricker hit the jack with his guess of 23. He had Schrader had 9 in 22. He had 14 in 2023, which adds up to 23 for Randy Carricker, which means he is the winner of today's fight. Nathan, I'm so sorry you hit the jack, and Randy Carricker took you down with a perfect jack. I don't know what's going on here, but he's locked in. We can't let him do the gauntlet anymore. It just locks him in even more.
At least I had to make sure he had to be perfect to beat me.
Exactly. You know what? You earned this, Nathan, even if you didn't get a win.
Go crazy, folks. Go crazy.
Way to get all four right. Let's go through those answers and questions really quickly. While Chris Bosh will always be known as the third wheel of the Heatles, he was a 5-time All-Star by the Toronto Raptors, the franchise that drafted him. The Saints' first ever playoff victory as a franchise was over the Rams in 2000. Jeff Blake started a few games for the Saints that season, but it was in fact Aaron Brooks who started the majority of the games and that playoff victory. The UNC Tar Heels added to their already record with their 31st Sweet 16 berth. Just behind them is, in fact, Duke and the Conference of Champions, a.k.a. the Pac-12. If they do have another title winner before they collapse, it will be a repeat of the last time they won, because it was in fact Lute Olson's Arizona squad that won in 1997, the last Pac-12 team, and after everybody got knocked out but Arizona, the only Pac-12 team who could win one more time. So a 4-4 tiebreaker, and then the 23 total touchdowns for Cody Schrader. Randy hit that one right there on the head, and it was a jack in both times over. So thank you so much, Nathan, for joining the fight and joining the show. You tried, but unfortunately Mega Mind just too good today.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, Nathan.
Good to have you with us on 101 ESPN.
That was a
Come on.
showdown.
Come on.
Until the end.
Come on. How did you both get all
And then you made
four?
Rocc do some hard math with that tiebreaker.
I have to say, the problem is I have to say that every time now
You
because
don't have
it made
to.
Carrie so mad whenever
I know.
I would say it.
And I do it in his honor.
Rainey, of course, is getting right on perfect. I had a secondary question that you weren't going to get right on perfect, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
you weren't going to get that one.
You saving this one?
No, I'm not saving this one. It's just whenever I have one that's maybe a little bit more easy to guess, where you just, the numbers between 0 and 50, I pull out a secondary one, which was UNC's the winningest program of all time. How many wins do they have?
Oh, okay.
And so
you wouldn't keep that in your pocket. I was saying,
that
thinking
was too wide ranging.
I was hoping it would be like
far scoping.
NASCAR, WNBA, or tennis
Oh
questions.
no, those
NASCAR. The evens won yesterday. William won. Number 24.
William won.
Just say the number. That's
It's not
clearly all you remember from it.
That's all I needed.
What color was the car?
It's the old Jeff Gordon car, so it's multicolored. But so I've got a standing bet with our buddy Chris Muir over at Golf Discount, who, oh, by the way, is down in Arizona.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's playing golf down there with Ozzy and Willard Harrell and the gang. But anyway, Chris called me during the Daytona 500, said, hey, you want to just bet on the Daytona 500? I said, I don't know anything about NASCAR. He said, no, I'll take the odd cars, you take the evens for $20. I said, okay, cool. So now it's just standing bet. So that's how I know that William Byron won yesterday, because all I really concern myself with is the number 24 car, or even numbered cars, winning. So I'm up 20.
There
up
you
$20.
go.
I wish I was at Shohei's press conference today.
I just want to picture Randy in his living room, just like, come on, 48.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Come on, 48. Stay away, 57.
It's unbelievable. Okay, coming up, and we want your input here, too. Is there anything you liked about the Cardinals from spring training? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you haven't been out to Schnucks Eat Well Market in Chesterfield yet, you need to get out there, and you can join Schnucks to celebrate Eat Well Market's first birthday. It's Saturday, April 13th from 11 to 3, and there's going to be sampling, live music, family-friendly activities, and an appearance by Fred Bird and St. Louis Cardinals alum Jack Clark. It's a free event, and 4 lucky winners are going to win their basket total in Schnucks Rewards points. Visit Eat Well for all of your local, natural, and organic food at Boone's Crossing in Chesterfield. That's Eat Well Market's first birthday on Saturday, April 13th from 11 to 3. And if you haven't been there, get there before April 13th because the food is great and it's natural, it's healthy, and you'll absolutely love it. And by the way, you should know that when you go to Schnucks, if you download that Schnucks Rewards app, it makes such a difference. And that includes over at Eat Well Market. You get 2% back on every purchase you make. And all you have to do is either show your barcode in the app or use your phone number at checkout at Schnucks to take advantage of all of the great things that it has, including getting 2% back, but great coupons and the ability to put your list into your app as well. It's at Schnucks. Download the Schnucks Rewards app and use it either at Schnucks or at Eat Well Market in Chesterfield. All right, when you look at it as an entity, Cardinals were not great during the Grapefruit League. The spring training continues today down in Florida. But the Cardinals finished Grapefruit League play at 11, 12, and 5. They finished 23rd in runs in Major League Baseball, 24th in batting average and OPS. So the offense not great. 17th in earned run average. That being said, was there anything that you liked in the Grapefruit League that you think the Cardinals would be able to carry into the regular season, or that at some point during the season they'll be able to utilize? Brooke, what do you think?
I think some things that I did like. One is Miles Michaelis actually looked really good this spring training. So if you do want to take some stock into what you're seeing in spring training, I liked Miles Michaelis and the way that he performed because we've talked about it a lot, but even Miles has said this. He typically sometimes has a down year and then a good year. Last year was the down year. Now, I will say that hopefully the defense will be better behind them. I say hopefully because you can never predict if there's going to be any more injuries, but as of right now, it looks like you're going to have a pretty solid defense behind him. Do you think that that factored into his performance last season? I know that there's other things, but he's a pitcher that requires a good defense behind him.
And they did not have good defense on the infield specifically because Gorman hadn't ascended to the apparent level. I don't know if he's really reached this level, but the Cardinals are satisfied with his defense this year. They were not last year. Paul DeJong lost a step, got cut. Paul DeJong did not play well at shortstop for the Cardinals. Arenado was not good at all until the trade deadline last year. Defensively at third, he got going in the last 2 months. The only infield that really performed at a reasonably high level last year defensively was Paul Goldschmidt. So with Arenado evidently bouncing back, and by all accounts, he's had a good defensive spring. With Mason Wynn, with a better Gorman or Donovan, and then Goldie at first, yes, Miles Michaelis should be able to take advantage of that. Not only that, but Miles also allows fly balls. And whether it's this group that they have with Donovan, Carlson, and Walker, an improved Jordan Walker, or if it's Edman and Nootbaar, whomever you put out there, it should be a better defensive outfield than anything that contained Alec Burleson last year.
I also, Alec Burleson last year. Oh, come on. He's improved, Randy. And we like his bat.
Yeah, and he lost weight, and he didn't have to change his popcorn seasoning.
No, he did not. That is the secret. Somebody needs to get on that and come out with Nolan Gorman's popcorn recipe. But I think another person, and I'm going to stick with pitching just for right now, is Andre Palante. With his addition with the death ball. We talked about the death ball, a faster curveball with a later drop. He needed that to have in his pitch mix, and he just needed a stronger secondary pitch. So I think that's going to be a great addition for him. And then Riley O'Brien is another pitcher I've been talking about a lot, but he adds that swing and miss to the bullpen that you really need. And then another player that I really like this spring, Randy, is Victor Scott II, but the Cardinals decided he's not going to start with him on the opening day roster. And so it is a little frustrating. I'm not surprised that this is the decision that they made, because Victor Scott, I don't think that was a name that many people were expecting a lot from going into spring training. And then he forces his way into the conversation because of injuries and because of his play. I just wish that I could have seen him a little bit sooner. Maybe it's just me.
Okay, so Victor Scott II makes it, and Edmond comes back, and Newt Barr comes back, and Carlson is performing well. Who do you want to get rid of?
And they're all performing well.
Yep.
That's a tough one. Is Carlson turned back into your other outfield option?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough question.
So maybe that's part of the reason that he isn't here.
He isn't. So what do we think would be a timeline for Victor Scott II? Because I would hope to see him soon. And now, by saying that, I'm guessing there's going to be some more injuries. And I hope that Tommy Edman and Lars Newbar get healthy, of course. But it seems like the outfield always has injuries. So there's going to be an opening that will emerge.
I would think his timeline will be similar to what Mason Wynn's was last year after the All-Star break. That'd be my guess. Now, you mentioned Riley O'Brien. I agree with you. The Cardinals went out and wanted swing and miss in their bullpen during this offseason. O'Brien has a 1 ERA, 7 strikeouts in 9 innings. Helsley has a 1.13, 10 strikeouts in 8 innings. Andre Palante, 1.80 ERA, 11 strikeouts in 10 innings. Giovanni Gallegos, a 2 ERA, 11 strikeouts in 9 innings. And Andrew Kittredge, a 2.25 ERA, 5 strikeouts in 8 innings, but he isn't really known as a big-time swing and miss guy. So what the Cardinals wanted out of their bullpen is swing and miss. And by the way, Ryan Fernandez is probably going to be on the team. 6 strikeouts in 8 innings thrown. They really have gotten a lot of strikeouts and swing and miss out of the new relief pitchers that they brought aboard. So I liked that. I liked what I saw of Miles Michaelis in spring training. And I like the defense that I saw from Jordan Walker. I think that Jordan Walker has made strides in right field, and he's going to be one of those unusual players that gets better as they gain experience. I know a lot of guys just stay the same, and if they suck, they suck. But he's going to be one of those guys.
I think so. And I think he had just 1 error so far in spring training, which, I mean, spring training is going to come to a conclusion here soon, but in Arizona. But I think he's had just 1 error. I think he will continue to grow. Just imagine, Randy, if they would actually have started him in the outfield a little bit sooner in the minors instead of right after they traded Harrison Bader. Maybe would have been progressed a little bit sooner, but you can't go back in time, so it is what it is. Yep. I think another player who's done really well, and I've seen this come in on the text line, Randy, is Thomas Ajayci. He had a great spring training, and we saw how great he was in the minors last year. So this is where my concern comes in with the roster. This is kind of bigger picture issue. If Thomas Ajayci continues to do well in the minors, you can't ignore him. My concern is that with Brandon Crawford and Matt Carpenter, that they could be blocking the way for Thomas Ajayci getting an opportunity.
I would rather have Thomas Ajayci play than not play. And I know I'm going to have Wynn playing every day, and I know that I'm going to have Gorman and Donovan playing every day. So unless there's an injury, I have no problem with him being the best hitter in the minors and being a part of a deal if it pops up that I can get a number 1 starter once we get to that point in the season where somebody's willing to trade a number 1 starter. But I would rather see him playing in the minors than getting 5 at-bats a month in the majors.
He's been doing really well. I would just like to see him and what he would be able to do at the major league level at some point.
But then what's he going to do, though? What are you going to do with him?
That's the thing, is that there's not a spot for him currently right now. No, but I'm saying if that opportunity arises, then you do have 2 veterans who are right there in front of him.
Yeah, if Gorman and Donovan get hurt, then you've got a guy ready to take over. So it's never a bad problem when you have too many players.
No, I just think that he's a bright young player.
Definitely.
I think there's a couple of guys. Victor Scott II had a fantastic spring training, and so did Thomas Ajayci. And so then now that we know where they're going to start, I just wonder about what their timeline will be.
I would think Ajayci's probably... In terms of being ready, he's probably, because he spent more time in the minors. He might have been the best hitter in minor league baseball last year. He is probably, I would think, ahead of Scott. And I know this sounds weird to say. It's counterintuitive. Scott's probably, with the Cardinals, probably got a quicker ETA simply because you have a better opportunity to play him every day than you have to play Ajayci every day.
Is there any concerns that you have with the roster
I
currently?
have tons of concerns about the roster.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, if we had to start with one, because I do have some concerns. I'm not surprised that you have Brendan Donovan in left field, but he is coming off a pretty big surgery. So
Right.
I was kind of surprised that they would have him out there so soon, I guess.
Right.
Do you have any concerns about that?
No, if there is a problem with the arm, just tell him to throw to the cutoff man. The cutoff man has a pretty good arm. So
That's true.
I would do that. We don't know what Jordan Walker is going to be. We hope that Dylan Carlson can stay healthy. I'm still not convinced about the defense of Nolan Gorman at second base. And then they don't have a number one. Right now they don't have a number two. So you're looking at a starting rotation of a bunch of 3s and 4s going against the best team in the league and then a team that really is going to play good, solid, fundamental baseball against you in the Padres on your first trip.
That's going to be a big issue. Also, Steven Matz is a concern that I have with the starting rotation. I feel like not necessarily make or break, but I feel like he could determine a lot with the starting rotation this season.
Yeah, and I would not be averse to seeing Liberatore get a chance. If Matz gets hurt again, at some point they got to find out about Matthew Liberatore, right?
They do.
Well, sooner rather than later, because eventually he becomes one of those guys whose value drops and you don't get as much for him as you could have had you moved him earlier. So I hope that either he winds up being really good for them or they trade him before they find out that he's really bad.
Question for you for when the Cardinals come back here for their home opener. So you're going to have Lance Lynn as your starter for that game. What should we expect for that? And who do you think will be the DH? Because I think in that situation, you have Marp on your bench. You have Burleson. It's going to be Marp.
Probably. Yeah. Although, might Luzardo pitch for the Marlins? So we got to look at who's pitching for them, too. But, yeah, if it's a right-hander, it's probably going to be Marp. You're probably right. Which will be entertaining. Does he get booed?
So that's a full throwback.
Does he
doesn't get booed.
Okay.
There's absolutely no way that fans would boo him.
See, well, yeah, you're right, because Twitter fan and ballpark fan are different.
We should take a deep dive into that one day, Randy. Is there a difference between the fans who are going to the ballpark and the ones who are on social media?
Totally. Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. Yeah, I have friends that they went to 75 games last year, and they bleed Cardinal red. So I think the season ticket holder is much more apt to support the team, and the people that hate the team, they're going to spend money on it. Mm-hmm. So, but the people that are spending the money for the tickets, I think are much more supportive. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, we've got our Rush Hour Reset on 101 ESPN. Hey, Hoffman Brothers Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical has some great things that you need to know about. And one of those is, now that we are into the latter part of March, we've almost got a quarter of this year behind us. Were there any outlets or lighting issues that you experienced in the first quarter that you need to get fixed? Hoffman Brothers is offering 5% off lighting upgrades, and your American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer does great work with that. Whether you're going to have ceiling fans installed or whether you want to change some lighting fixtures, they do fantastic work at that. And if you have a two-story home where the second floor isn't getting as hot as the first, if your entire second floor maybe isn't getting airflow, call Hoffman Brothers, and they can come out and take a look and see what solutions are available to help better distribute heat to your second floor. Have you done maintenance on the heating and cooling system yet? Now's the time to get in touch with my friends at Hoffman Brothers to make sure that your air conditioner is good to go for the summer months. You can make an appointment now just by going to Hoffman Bros, Hoffmann, hoffmanbros.com. Set that appointment today and make sure that your air conditioner is good to go for the summer. Any electrical or plumbing needs, it's Hoffman Brothers.
Day on the opening drive with a rush hour reset.
Blues with a must-win tonight. I'm calling it a must-win. I know Kerb says that, not necessarily a must-win. Blues with a must-win against the Golden Knights tonight at Enterprise Center. 6 o'clock pregame, 7 o'clock face-off here on 101 ESPN.
I think it's a must-win.
You don't want to fall 6 points behind.
No, and we've already seen them do that. This is a chance for them, especially, I know that every game has been important up until this point, but this is a huge difference maker. It feels like that whole Nashville game all over again where it could really push them forward or they fall behind. But at this point, it could possibly make them irrelevant. And they've been playing well lately. I was actually texting with someone back and forth on the text line. We were discussing with Thomas and Kyrou that actually separating them has been a benefit. And it seems like for whatever reason, not that there's anything going on there, it just seems like these lines and the combinations that Bannister has put out here lately has actually brought out the best in those guys.
It definitely has, and we'll hear them tonight, 6 o'clock pregame, 7 o'clock face-off here on 101 ESPN. St. Louis City SC becomes the first expansion team to go unbeaten in their first 5 games in back-to-back seasons. They are the 5th overall team in MLS history to do that with their 2-2 draw against DC United at City Park on Saturday night, and Santa Claus scored his first tally of the campaign. Here is his manager, Bradley Carnell.
Yeah, massive. I think he's been working his tail off to try and get into moments, and you could see he gets a good assist for Nukvi. If Nukvi, on another day, we'll put that one in the back of the net, we win the game, and we're all happy with the performance. So, I thought, again, it's been, a couple of weeks now in a row where we make an impact off the bench. We keep guys hungry, we give guys starts. There's a certain rhythm to our game, and we feel pretty good up until the point that we score our goal. And then I think we dominated much of the proceedings tonight, so it's massive for Klaus. Good to get into good spots. He's got his fitness back. You can see he doesn't stop working for the 90 minutes, and he's a real menace up top. So, he's working his way back, and the harder you work, you'll get into better situations, and he did so tonight.
Oh, man. When preparation meets hard work, success. Success is the success is when opportunity meets hard work.
So you could call that plan Preparation H.
No!
Preparation Hard Work.
Good. Hard work, yes.
I was going to try to keep that in, Randy, but it's hard sometimes. I just want to, the Randyisms also slip out of me as well. That was a nod to you. But yeah, so do you see, that was a frustrating draw. I feel like that's a good way to categorize it. I mean, you didn't lose, so that's great.
Right.
But it was just frustrating the way that game played out.
But they'll go on a roll here. They'll win a bunch of games in a row, so they'll be fine. Cards and Cubs wrap up the spring training portion of their season today and tomorrow down in Mesa. Cardinals will pitch Steven Matz against Jordan Wicks of the Cubs. That's a 3 o'clock game today. And then tomorrow, the Cardinals will pitch Kyle Gibson against Imanaga of the Cubs, and that's a 2 o'clock start. Cardinals will be off Wednesday, then open the regular season in L.A. on Thursday.
When you were down in Arizona, you got to see the Cubs a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, and they looked really sharp. They could play good, clean baseball under Craig Counsell. They were playing the Brewers, who did not play well that night. The Cubs, they'll be better than they were last year simply because I think, and they play pretty clean ball under David Ross, but Counsell is a different animal, and he'll put a bullpen together. He's really good at making a bullpen work.
That's what he's known for. Well, I'd hope that he would be able to do all that considering how much money they gave him, and then it seemed like they were stagnant for a while, so that was a little confusing. But it feels like the Cubs, fair to say, I know that we have some people who are down and out on the Cardinals currently right now going into the season, but fair to say that the Cubs will be the Cardinals' biggest competition to win the division this year.
Well, I think the Reds are going to be there, too. I think it's a 3-team race. I don't think the Brewers are going to be great. No. And I'm pretty sure that the Pirates aren't going to be great, even though I might, for a couple of months, refer to them as the 2024 world champions.
They kind of surprised us a little bit last year, didn't they?
Yeah, until June got here. And then they went back to being the Pirates. But I would think that this will be a 3-team race right now, and things can change dramatically. I like the starting pitching that the Reds have assembled. I like a lot of the things that the Cubs did during the offseason. I don't know if Imanaga is better than Marcus Stroman. I think Steele will be better. He's ascending as a number 1 type guy. They've got a good catcher. They've got the best defense in the division. And getting Cody Bellinger back and productive again is a big key for them. I don't know if I told you that when they were playing the Brewers when we were down there, night game, and former Cardinal Patty Smarts steps to the plate to start off the bottom of the 9th. 4-4 game. And I turned to Patrick. I said, why doesn't Patty Smarts just hit a game-winning home run here and we'll go home? First pitch. Boom. Patty Smarts. Walk off. Homer in the bottom of the 9th.
Did you go get a lottery ticket right after that?
No, I think the lottery was closed at that point. But it was interesting to predict that, to call it.
Did you feel powerful in that moment?
In that very moment, Brooke, I did. I felt like I ran the world. That is your Rush Hour Reset. It is 9:14. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up, when a team plays like DC United did the other night, does that present a problem for MLS? That's coming your way on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
Thanks for calling Toyota. This is Jan.
Hi, Jan. My kids are really excited about spring break, so I'm looking for a new Toyota to help make it amazing.
Now until April 1st is a great time for a new Toyota. Imagine you and the kids in a Tundra on your way
to the lake to go speedboating.
Or even taking a RAV4
to an animal sanctuary to pet goats.
Sounds like your kids aren't the only ones excited about spring break.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details.
Hey, you need to get your exclusive Citi SC debit card from Together Credit Union and take advantage of these great offerings. You get a free lifetime MyCiti Plus membership, in-stadium discounts on food, beverages, and merchandise, and most exciting, express entry into City SC matches at City Park. And as a special bonus, Together Credit Union is also sending you a commemorative print of City Park Stadium, the home of St. Louis City SC, while supplies last. All you have to do to get the card is open any personal checking account online at togethercu.org or stop by any of their 14 local branches and choose the St. Louis City SC debit card at account opening. There's no cost for a City SC debit card, so don't wait. Sign up today and show your pride for St. Louis City SC. And a great thing from Together Credit Union, their fantastic certificate of deposit promotions, a first CD rate option, 11 months with a 5.40 annual percentage yield. Your second CD rate option, a 19-month CD with a 5.00 annual percentage yield. Both options require a minimum balance of $1,000. All you need to do is go to your nearest Together Credit Union. Early withdrawal penalties apply and may reduce earnings on the account. Rate offers are accurate as of January 18th, respectively. Rates subject to change without notice. Other rates and terms available. Membership eligibility required. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Yeah, good evening. First of all, just want to apologize to the fans. It frustrates me a little bit when fans pay hard-earned cash to get some tickets and watch a soccer game. And, there's no rhythm to the game and there's no real action. We pride ourselves on action. And unfortunately, there was a little bit of disruption of rhythm tonight. So my focus is not really on the soccer match. There was no real soccer rhythm, no real soccer match tonight. And again, we show guts, we show desire to get back in the game. But, those are the least of my thoughts tonight. And my thoughts are with the fans.
I love Bradley Carnell. He's the head coach of St. Louis City SC, and he couldn't have said it any better. And he does. And that organization cares about the fans, and that organization understands, which clearly DC United does not, that they're in the entertainment business. That was not entertaining for anybody. And I know that in hockey we say, hey, you want to play that simple road game. But I really thought for a league that is trying to draw in fans, MLS trying to get soccer fans here to enjoy their sport. And what's the two biggest jokes about soccer? Number one, that they don't score enough. And number two, that people take dives. And what does DC United do? They come in and try to keep the score as low as they possibly can. And they embellish and dive. It really was, I thought, a bad look for MLS. And like Roman Berkey said, and maybe we can get that cut again, he asked the official, he said, why don't you do anything about it? And the official said, what am I going to do? And he said, you got 2 cards in your pocket. Why not do that?
For the embellishing.
Use those. So we love City SC here, and we love their attitude, and we love their approach. But like Bradley Carnell said, it wasn't really soccer. It wasn't what soccer should be. Isn't it called the beautiful game? How beautiful was that the other night?
That was not beautiful.
No.
And it was frustrating. And I do get that, but I don't know necessarily how you would fix this other than I know that some people were bringing up on social media this past weekend because there has been a big issue currently going on in the MLS, and maybe Rocc, you can touch on this, but with refs right now and pay. Mm-hmm. And so I know that was another point that a lot of people were bringing up of figuring that out so that maybe you could have something more effective like you were talking about happening during the match. But this was a very depleted DC United team, and I'm not making an excuse for them, but at the same time, with a depleted DC United team, it was just a frustrating end for City SC because DC United, City SC kept DC United to 0 shots on goal in the second half, but couldn't manage more than a PK themselves to earn in the draw. So I don't know. I feel like it was frustrating on both ends because I wish that City SC could have done a little bit more with a depleted DC United group. But at the same time, I don't know what you can do to fix it because what you're talking about specifically isn't just an MLS problem. That seems to be a soccer problem.
Yeah. Here's Roman Berkey.
I told him once the ref this is not obvious, and he asked me, what can I do? And I thought, like, if you have 2 cards in your pocket, man, use them if you have to. Control the game. Don't let the game control you or the other team.
That's it. That's it right there. You got 2 cards in your pocket. Don't let the game control you. And I think to your point, Brooke, this is what happens when you have replacement refs. And we were waiting for the in the end zone moment from the NFL. On Monday Night Football with Green Bay and Seattle, that big moment that told the NFL, "Oh God, we got to figure this one out because this is going to hurt our product long term." And it kind of started cracking a little bit last week, I should say, in the MLS. A lot of teams and players started coming out and make complaints. And you saw Bradley Carnell, not put it on the officials, but you hear Berkey's explanation. You have replacement refs, and I don't think it's hard to make an inference that replacement refs who do not have the history with these players or the history with this league probably don't have the same, are worried about what's going to happen if they see themselves leveling a premature card for time wasting. They're going to think, well, that's ticky-tack. The fans in the room are going to hate it. Everyone's going to hate that I'm doing this. So I think there is something in the alternate ref mind that's probably stopping them from being a little bit more demonstrative and handling the game the way Roman Berkey wants. I think it's not crazy to think that game goes a little bit differently and is handled differently by a non-replacement ref.
And I don't disagree with that, but I also think that Don Garber and the powers that be at MLS need to do something to prevent this. What happened when the New England Patriots were holding every receiver in the league? The NFL decided to crack down on defensive holding. What happened when Major League Baseball was doing a really good job of holding the running game down, suppressing the running game? They expanded the bases so that people would run more, and stolen bases and runs did go up last year. What happened when the left wing lock was all the rage in the NHL, or the neutral zone trap? The NHL outlawed it. And there have to be ways to keep teams from suppressing scoring, because that is what America likes, is scoring. And I'm not saying they need to play 5-4 games every week in soccer, but like you said, Brooke, no shots. You can't have a game with no shots in the second half.
Well, and that's why I think that paying the refs and figuring that out will at least be a bigger step in that direction. That is a way to answer your question that Don Garber can get this right, is by starting in that direction of really putting in more of an effort with that, because you do have bigger stars coming into the MLS. Use some of that money towards actually paying the refs so that we could get away from this a little bit more. I think that somebody also texted this in, and I agree with them. It's actually pretty simple. They need to have a substitution rule. If you go down with an injury, get off the field, somebody else goes back in, and you can do that 3 times in a game. After that player comes off the field and you play short. I agree with that, and that's something that I saw over and over again this past weekend. Another question for you, and Rocc, I know that you're a Premier League fan as well. What about the Premier League stoppage time rules? Is there something that could be implemented possibly with that?
I think they're pretty similar. I don't think the stoppage time rules are really that different. Now, I could be wrong about which things that are stopping the game. How do you calculate that? How is the extra person calculating the stoppage time? I don't necessarily think stoppage time. I mean, you had 10 minutes of stoppage time, which I actually think made sense for how the game was going. I like that. I think it's still stupid that they don't track it and you don't see it on the clock and it's not official. That all is really dumb, but they do that in the Premier League too. So I think going away from how they've always done it might be the only way to do extra time right. I think this person is partially right because it's just that right now you have a rule where if a player gets injured but you don't want to sub him off, they have to leave the field to get tended to, and the game restarts. Now you're a man down. So I just think the rule should be that if you go down and play has to stop, you have to leave the field and your team is a man down for 30 seconds. That should be the rules. Screw this, you get 3 subs. No. Again, because teams will exacerbate that. They'll take advantage of that. They'll use that to get a player onto the field really quick, make a quick attacking run, use a burst of speed. Teams will exacerbate that. Make it a penalty anytime your player goes down, where if they go down and play has to stop, you have to leave the field. Make it kind of like the helmet rule in college football, where if the helmet comes off, you got to leave the field for a play. That way, it de-incentivizes players going down. Now, because then if you're a player, you have to make the decision. I'm on the edge of the box right now. Do I fake an injury to try to draw a penalty, or does my team go a man down for 30 seconds? I think that's a legitimate thing you have to put into these players' mind, or they're always going to think, there's the net, here's the ball, I'm closer than I was. If I go down with an injury, we might get a good free kick.
Right.
That's what you have to de-incentivize it.
I think Bradley Cardinal hit the nail on the head, and I think what Garber needs to tell his team's owners, general managers, coaches, we're in the entertainment business. Entertain people. That's the bottom line. And what DC United did the other night, unfortunately, was not entertaining. Coming up next here on 101 ESPN, on February 19th, the University of Arizona hired Desiree Reed-Francois away from the University of Missouri. Since then, we've had NFL legal tampering, NFL free agency, and almost every good player has signed a contract with another team or their old team. The Cardinals have started and ended Grapefruit League play, and Mizzou still without an athletic director. That's next on 101 ESPN. How'd you like to put a new sunroom in your backyard? The only company to get in touch with for said sunroom is Chesterfield Fence and Decks, celebrating 56 years in St. Louis, and they do amazing work. Whether you want to renovate your current deck or maybe you just want to put it out where the patio used to be, a sunroom is incredible, and you can put in a big screen TV in there. You can put in ceiling fans. You can set it up so that you have windows for this time of year or air conditioning that'll go into that room during the summer. It's a great way to do it, and it's a great company to use. And it's more than just sunrooms and screen rooms with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They do great work with both wood and vinyl fences. They have wood and vinyl decks as well. Their Vecca deck is amazing. It's a vinyl decking, and there's a new color, pewter, a gorgeous gray that's a beautiful variation throughout for a more natural look with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They've been in business, as we mentioned, for 56 years. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, and they'll provide you with great warranties on everything they do as well. And if you tell them Randy sent you, get 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project when you work with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The number, 800-300-4054. On the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Over the weekend, St. Louis City SC drew again 2-2 this time with DC United in a home game. They started the season with 1 win and 4 draws. They become the first ever expansion team to start their first 2 seasons with no losses in their first 5 games. They're the 5th ever MLS team to do it in back-to-back seasons. Also over the weekend, the Blues with a big win over the Wild, 5-4 in overtime. They will look for an even bigger win tonight as they face off against the Golden Knights down at Enterprise Center, 7 p.m. puck drop, 6 p.m. pregame show right here on your home for the St. Louis Blues, 101 ESPN. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Desiree Reed-Francois left as the Mizzou athletic director on February 19th. Today, it's March 25th. And we still don't have a new athletic director at the University of Missouri. In the interim, we mentioned before the break that the Cardinals have played an entire spring training season and that NFL free agency has come and gone. Another thing that has happened, Brooke, during this time since Desiree Reed-Francois took the AD job at Arizona after essentially being pushed out at Mizzou, is that she was named the Athletic Director of the Year by the National Athletic Directors Association of America. So why doesn't Missouri have a new athletic director in place yet?
Well, it seems like I was trying to figure out if their name has been out there for some of the searches, and you're not really seeing anything other than 3 weeks ago, there's a report that they are starting their national search for an athletic director. And Choi, the president, who is in charge of this, stressed the significance of appointing a leader, Randy, who is proficient in fundraising, enhancing facilities, and elevating game day experiences to meet high expectations of fans and supporters, both locally and nationally. So it almost sounds like Desiree Reed-Francois.
He had that.
He did have that. And that's the part that will be very confusing to me. I would love to know the full situation that happened behind closed doors. And if I'm a candidate that is looking to be the athletic director at Mizzou, I would also want to know the full story of what happened behind closed doors. Because to me, Desiree Reed-Francois hit it out of the park. She did everything exactly the way that you wanted. She brought in Dennis Gates. It was a down year for SEC basketball in general, other than Tennessee, who's is doing well right now. But then you were able to see Mizzou, what they were able to accomplish in their first year. You saw the football program grow with Eli Drinkwitz and with Desiree Reed-Francois. It seems like she really elevated the game day experience for all of the sports, and the facilities grew, and you had $62 million come in from an anonymous donor. Those are all the things I would want an athletic director. So if I'm coming into that situation, yes, you're coming in with a lot to work it with, but I would want to know, okay, well, who will I be working under and what will I be allowed to do? Because why did she leave?
There you go. If I am an athletic director that is capable of being a good AD at an SEC school, I'm not taking a job where I've got the board of curators looking over my shoulder at every turn.
Which she will still have at Arizona, by the way. I guess that's something they already have in place in Arizona, because Arizona did have a huge issue where they lost some money prior to her coming there.
$200 million in debt.
You know, just a couple $100 million. So that'll be fun for her to figure out. But that's what's even more alarming to me, is that she had such a great situation at Mizzou and she was growing things. And then all of a sudden this board of curators was introduced, and the timing of that looks very suspicious.
Right. And now that same group is trying to find a new athletic director, or at least they'll have to vote on one. And again, I have to believe that University of Missouri and the Board of Curators has put themselves in a difficult position in trying to find a qualified top-level candidate. I'm not saying they won't find a candidate. I'm just saying qualified top-level candidates, like you say, Brooke, are going to ask questions about why the athletic director of the year left for less money for a job that appears to be a disaster right now because of a $177 million athletic department shortfall.
Especially if you were able to check all those boxes that she did. She did a lot of great things for Mizzou. And so now I'm curious about this board of curators that we have, because there is a search committee that has been established that is comprised of curators, alumni, and other Mizzou staff members. Bob Blitz is a name that we've heard a lot about. Are you more familiar with him and what his role could be with this?
I do not know what his role is with the board of curators. I know Bob because of, obviously, his desire to keep the Rams here and then being involved with the lawsuit against the National Football League. But I don't know what his role is in terms of what the curators established with their 4-person oversight committee for the athletic director.
So he's a curator and chair of the search committee. And then you have a couple others who are part of this curator community. So it looks like it's going to be alumni and staff members, curators, and then some board members as well. I'm just interested when they're looking, what exactly they are looking for. If that's what Choi is saying, that he wants all those things, it was exactly what you just had. And it's very weird to see it not work out in that way.
And then you see Nebraska lose Trev Alberts to Texas A&M. And Nebraska has a new athletic director within a week. I don't know why it's taking more than a month. Now we're 5 weeks beyond Desiree Reed-Francois leaving. One thing about a board of curators, like an athletic director, they should always have a list of names in their desk or in their wallet or in their case in case something happens, in case they lose an athletic director. They should always have a list of names to be the next person. Clearly, the University of Missouri, I shouldn't say clearly, it appears as if the University of Missouri was not prepared for her to depart. And I don't know if I told you this, but she didn't tell anybody. She didn't tell her closest confidants at Mizzou that she was leaving. She just did it.
It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. So if she's not telling her closest confidants, she's certainly not telling the people that are clearly, I will say this, second guessing her. When you put together that oversight committee, what they're doing is second-guessing somebody who is doing a great job. And the old Dick Vermeil tenet applies here. Hire great people and let them do their job. And that's something that board of curators did not do at the University of Missouri with Desiree Reed-Francois.
No. And so I'm very curious as to who will be the person that will come in and step into this role. Now, I will say, outside of if you can get those answers coming in, you're coming into a great situation, in my opinion, because of what she has been able to establish and set up here. You have Eli Drinkwitz coming off a Cotton Bowl victory and what he's building with the program. Of course, he got a extension. I wonder if there's anything, and that's just pure speculation on my part, of if there was anything there with Eli Drinkwitz getting the extension, the timing of the board of curators, and then her exit. If you're just putting a timeline together, it looks interesting in that way when you set it up.
If I were the board of curators, I would have Eli interview my prospective candidates.
He has to be, because of what he's doing at the program right now.
And he wasn't involved with the last one. And there's a lot of speculation in and around Columbia that maybe he wasn't on the same page as her in terms of moving the program forward. And that
could be, and you don't know.
So, and he's the king. He's the football coach. So why bother bringing in somebody that he would not be on the same page with?
Exactly. And maybe there could be something there with that. I think that he needs to be a part of the discussion 100%, because what he's doing with the football program right now, that's what's bringing in a lot of that money.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say that $62 million has a lot to do with the success that he's brought to the football program?
It might have been him or it might have been her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's an anonymous donor, but ultimately she wound up getting, it was with her on her watch that they got the $62 million.
I just want to know who these candidates will be.
I do too, and I'm interested to see who they are able to hire. Are they going to be able to hire somebody who, coming off of a winless season in SEC basketball, is able to keep people coming to the games? When she brought in Dennis Gates, before they had even played a league game, attendance had increased at Mizzou Arena by 36%. She oversaw, and Eli Drinkwitz, this was his fourth year at Mizzou. She was in charge of the athletic department when they had their first 5-game sellout streak in more than 30 years. Mm-hmm. It had been since 1980. She's really good at getting people involved with the program. She's really good at engaging the people. And people that have been in that program for a long time, since the 60s, are devastated that she left. And that's another thing they have to do. Is they have to pacify their donors and their alums. And I hope they can. I hope they can find somebody that is as engaging as Desiree was.
I think that you have to be careful with that sometimes, though, too, because, and of course, Texas A&M is playing with crazy money, and so is Texas as well in general. But you also don't want to get to the point where you are doing too much of appeasing to the fans. Don't you think that there is a balance there between that?
There is, in terms of giving them control of your athletic department. But in terms of getting them to come in and buy tickets, I think you have to have that.
Yes, yes.
So it's tough, and it's a shame, because it appeared as if Missouri had it going. Hopefully they can keep it going. Right now, we're coming off a winless SEC basketball season. The football program heads into the second transfer and NIL window, and they don't have anybody in charge at the moment. So hopefully they can figure that out.
They have to.
That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, we've got a little edition of Rocc and Roll for you here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, spring is a great time to change the look of your house, and it's a great time to get in touch with my friends at gutterpros.com, a great St. Louis company. And whether you want to change the look of your home or maybe you want to change the way that your business's gutters work because maybe you have water coming over the side, then you need to get in touch with gutterpros.com. And they do a great job with leaf protection if you have a lot of trees around your home. They'll also provide soffit and fashion, install it, and do great work. And spring is a great time to consider a new face for your home. So check out gutterpros.com. We're supposed to have a lot of rain today and tomorrow, and this might be a time where you come home and you see water coming over the edge of your gutters. Maybe your gutters aren't big enough, and Gutter Pros will tell you what size gutters you should have, and then when they install them, water goes where they tell it to go with Gutter Pros. It's a great St. Louis company. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and 4.9 out of 5 stars on their reviews for gutterpros.com. Make an appointment for an estimate today. We all eventually need new gutters, and you need to get them at gutterpros.com.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Time for Rock and Roll here on 101 ESPN as we head down the stretch toward a little balloon party with T-Mac and Ajax here on 101 ESPN.
I'm fully in on this conspiracy theory that we have.
No,
well, we
we're not.
can't reveal it. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I don't think we can't reveal this conspiracy theory that has so much facts and evidence behind it, like a DM from a random listener that's texting in.
I can't
the
believe
things that we
this
see
is
throughout
real
the day,
things.
ladies and gentlemen. I tell you what, let's get a little positivity. Let's get a little positivity in the show now before we get overtaken by ridiculousness. Some positivity for if you're a Mizzou fan, as over the weekend, Peter Malnati, the former Missouri student and golfer, won the tournament for the PGA. It was his first win in 3,000 days, almost 10 years since he last won in the PGA Tour. And here was Peter Malnati after the win, and just a little context, he did have one of his sons in his arms when he was answering these questions.
You wonder if you're ever going to do it again, because it's hard. And, in the 9 years since my last win, it's gotten a lot harder, too. If you look, the level of talent out here, guys coming out when they're 20 years old and they're ready to play on this stage and they're so good. You just wonder, like, and so to have this moment, it just feels so amazing. I mean, obviously, my wife, she makes this all possible because life is hard. Like, it's obviously glamorous at times like this. And this is my dream job, and it's absolutely amazing. But life is really, really hard, too, when you're trying to figure out how to live this lifestyle and have 2 kids and be everything that you want to be. It's really hard, and my wife has been an absolute rock through all of it. She's amazing, and, got my mom here. My family's amazing. 2 little boys. Like, it's just... This just feels so good.
Good for Peter Malnati.
All right.
You disagree about
Is he related to Lou?
He's not related to Lou, I don't think.
Lou Malnati's?
No, I feel like if you're related to Lou, you don't need to worry about winning a tournament every 3,000 days. I feel like things are pretty well settled in the Malnati family. But Peter Malnati, the big win, the former Mizzou golfer, first win in, like he said, 9 years, over 3,000 days. Wow. And I loved the emotion there from him, obviously.
Wasn't there a guy like named Tiger Woods that was playing 9 years ago?
I did. When he said that, I did laugh, and I was like, I feel like Randy's going to be like, well, is it harder to win now than it was? I feel like you're literally talking about a PGA Tour where we've commented on all the good golfers that have left, but I was trying not to focus on that part.
Well, good for him, and I love the emotion, and he's right. It's a glamorous life, but not for when you don't win for 9 years. It's not like everybody is giving you all these endorsement deals and stuff. So it's really cool for him to have the level of success that he enjoyed yesterday, and hopefully he'll get another win 9 years later.
Oh, Randy.
What?
Well, it should be sooner than 9 years.
He gets to go to the Masters now with that win.
That's really cool.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So good for him, and obviously, hey, we needed some bright spots for Mizzou because, as somebody texted in, as a friend of mine has been texting me every week, because right now we're languishing through MIZ, no AD, which is just it's disappointing. But so let's focus on something else we've gotten today, and that was Chris Kerber joined us earlier today, and I really wanted to play a part of his rant because the big topic coming out of the City game yesterday is obviously the time wasting from DC United, and I love Chris Kerber because he's obviously an extremely passionate Blues announcer. He loves his New York Giants, even though we always bring them up when they suck. But he also is a very passionate St. Louis City fan, and I liked his take here on the chicanery from Saturday.
And DC United was awful at it. So, yeah, it's a pretty good rant because I love the product. I love going down. I've already been down to 3 games this year. Like we landed from Minnesota, literally, and I drove straight down to the game to meet my wife and daughter. I love going down there. I'm still going to be going down there. But at some point, the players on the field have to decide if that's the style of play that they want to play. Like, I got to think as a pro athlete, guys. I mean, that's what you want. You're a pro athlete. You're supposed to be the best of the best. You're supposed to be the toughest of the toughest, mentally strong, and that's what you choose to be as a player? No thanks.
I love Kerbs. You can hear the full interview, by the way, if you go to Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's podcast, as Kerbs was talking about the St. Louis City and the DC United game, which was a little bit of embarrassment. I will say we got a texter who, during our talk about this earlier in the hour, was saying, don't try to Americanize the sport. This has always been an issue in soccer. You can't solve it. My thing is this. Why the hell can't we Americanize the sport? I don't understand that argument. I've never understood that argument.
Yeah, why not?
I think there's certain parts of the European game that we wouldn't think of and that we should leave. Like, instinctually, it's weird to have in-season tournaments. I think it's actually kind of one of the cool things about soccer, so I don't think you should change that. But I think you should Americanize them to a point where, look at how much people love the tournament in the United States. Why shouldn't you can't tell me you can't get people jacked about filling out brackets for other sports other than NCAA March Madness? Of course you can. Americanize it as much as you want. Keep other little things, but I don't see why we can't Americanize it a little bit. I don't care how old the sport's been. Evolution's important.
Here's the question. Did we Americanize it when we took it indoors?
I think we did.
I think so, too.
I can't imagine that was being played over there in jolly old England.
No,
Make it more of a contact sport.
I think that's important, Brooke.
I think that's what we like here in America.
We do.
Make it more of a contact sport.
Yes.
Or like I suggested last week, the taser.
Oh, yeah. But then there has to be rules to the taser. You can only use it once.
Yeah,
so then it keeps your opponents on edge, Randy.
Yep.
So they don't know when you're going to use the taser.
And maybe you don't use it for a whole match.
Oh, and so then do you kind of get to double up on it then? No, it's just you have that one. It's
always
one
in the back of their
each
mind,
match. You would be like faking him out. You'd be like, oh, no,
Yeah,
maybe.
that painful
maybe I'm
from
gonna do it.
LAFC. I would have got him. The second time he ran by one of my guys, I would have got him.
By the way, we were talking about this a few weeks ago, Danny Mac. They threw it up at the end of the game. Chris Durkin ran almost 7 miles against DC United.
Holy cow.
That's unbelievable.
And that's wear a Fitbit.
And that's a midfielder too. So I mean, there was somebody talking a few weeks ago about how much more they run in tennis than they do in soccer, and it's just.
Oh no! Don't start that debate again.
I can't. It was something that happened on the show, Brooke, and I can't get over it. I think about it every time I see numbers from people running in soccer. But the reason why I'm getting into this Americanized soccer thing is because Seton O'Connor, who's one of the Danettes, a big soccer fan, and he's extremely activated about the U.S. Open Cup disrespect from the MLS. And his idea was stop doing the U.S. Open Cup the way you do it, which is you re-bracket people in different rounds because the MLS teams enter the competition later than the earlier teams. He was like, no, you should Americanize the U.S. Open Cup and just make it like an NCAA tournament bracket. Have a number 1 seed, have a number like 30 seed, and then just number 32 seed, and then literally just bracket it out and get the classic American way of debating about, who's going to win, the 12 seed or the 6 seed. And I actually think that's a fantastic way to do it. And I think that there's no reason why you can't take something that's baked into American culture, transport it over to soccer a little bit by still having the overall umbrella of a U.S. Open mid-season, cup like they do in soccer, but take a little dash of Americanize it and make it a little bit more interesting so that you get people more involved. The money makes more sense. I don't understand why we can't do these things in soccer. Why does it have to be all special and, the names are different? And I don't get why you do that. It just pisses people off. And while it gets past some people, I think there are a lot of people who it's just a block to get into the sport.
You're preaching to the choir, man.
I know I am.
We're figuring this out. We're working to make it better.
Workshopping.
We are. We are very great at workshopping, aren't we?
We are.
We're pretty good at it.
I didn't know if I was preaching to the choir because according to one of our texters, he's watched more soccer than everyone in this room combined, and therefore his opinion needs to be respected.
Definitely more than me. If he's watched more than 100 matches, he's watched more than me. I don't know if I've got
Were
to
you
one
a big
yet.
soccer fan prior to
hell no.
City? Oh, okay. I just
Randy,
well,
no,
that was quick. I wanted to give you a chance.
I did get up and watch Tottenham for a while when Harry Kane was there and Christian and that gang. But no,
big Spurs fan.
Yeah, Coys. I even have a Coys shirt at home and a Harry Kane kit.
There you go.
Yeah, so I was a Tottenham Hotspur.
So he says, you actually think we care about soccer brackets? No, but I don't think you care about the U.S. Open Cup. My point is maybe I can actually get you to actually know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take people from 0 to 5% here. I'm not trying to take people from 0 to 100%. That's a dumb thought process to have. You got to get people, incrementally into these kind of things.
I watch women's college basketball. I like violence in my sports.
Like violence in my sports.
Did the brawl at the SEC tournament do as much for women's basketball as the Malice of the Palace did against men's basketball?
It did.
Is it completely just completely opposite?
More violence.
Yeah.
You lost about 20% of the men's game, but you gained about 20% of the women's game?
Yeah.
All right. Does it ruin the women's fight that one of the brothers is one of the main instigators?
Oh, that made it even better.
Okay, fair enough.
It was fantastic.
The drama of it all.
I just had to make sure. The drama of it all? You say drama?
Drama.
The drama of it all?
The drama.
Yep.
That's what happens in
We
the
like the
South.
drama and that's not just it's a joke, not a Southern thing. Good gosh, good golly gee.
The drama is it was from the show Cheers.
Drama?
Yeah,
Did you ever watch the show Cheers?
I did, yes.
It was a great show.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get into Frasier though when I was a kid. I love Cheers though. I couldn't get into Frasier.
Frasier was one of my favorites
I love Frasier
when I
now
was a
though.
kid.
I love Frasier now. I couldn't watch it when I was a kid.
Really?
Dude, Channel 11 used to have a 2-hour power hour, and it went Spin City.
How did they have a 2-hour power hour?
Well, it was 2 hours of power, I guess you could say.
Was this prior to them having the power of 2?
Maybe. They had Spin City. They had Spin City, The Drew Carey Show, and then Friends and Cheers.
Oh, wow.
I mean, 2 just perfect hours of television for your kid.
So you had The Drew Carey Show, Cheers,
Spin City, and Friends. And it was 4 to 5 and 5 to 6.
Yeah, so 3 of them are pretty good. The other one's kind of shaky.
Dang. Who are you taking a shot at?
Spin City.
Oh, no! God dang it! Get out of the show.
Hey,
I'm done.
101 ESPN is going to be broadcasting live from the Budweiser Brewhouse at Ballpark Village a week from Thursday for opening day. The home opener is almost here, and we're going to be set up just steps away from the ballpark with the opening drive, BK and Ferrario, and the Fast Lane all coming to you live on Thursday, April 4th from Ballpark Village. Our opening day broadcast is brought to you by Holiday World and Splash and Safari and by Budweiser. Great job today by our producer and audio and video engineer, Matthew Rocc.
You got a problem, man. Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yeah, this is we are the text line, man. That's we got more answers to your hard-hitting question, Randy, that you were asking on the text line.
Which hard-hitting question?
The conspiracy theory about
I love
Mizzou.
the conspiracy theory, yeah. Good.
This is a new one.
It sure is. Hey, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. We do have Balloon Party coming up, and then BK and Ferrario and the Fast Lane for all of us until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great Monday, St. Louis.
That's right.
Hey, I want you to get to mentality this week, guys. If you're feeling fatigued, if you aren't the guy that you used to be physically, and you want to get back to being that guy, you know, a lot of the issues that we run into as we get older are low T, low testosterone. And low testosterone causes lower energy, less drive, less motivation. Maybe you're fatigued. Maybe you're not as sharp mentally as you used to be. Go to Mentality, start your journey at lowtusa.com, and make an appointment at one of their clinics, either in Chesterfield or South County. Their doctors, who are fantastic, are going to completely go through your blood work and find out where your testosterone level is, and then get it back to where it was when you were in your 20s. And if your primary doctor says, oh, your testosterone level is fine, they want to get it back to the higher level of the normal range, because it's a pretty wide range that you deal with. They'll work with your insurance company to provide as little out-of-pocket expense as possible when you go to Mentality, and you can get back in the game. You can be the guy and have the energy that you used to be and have when you were in your 20s. Get started now at lowtusa.com.